Fortnite fam, it is so great to see you. Welcome to the Fortnite Champion Series. We are back. It's your boy, Zeekamus Prime, and you know we had to bring the crew. We got Reese, we got Levin here. Welcome to the show, everybody. Listen, Levin, how you feeling right now? We're back. I've missed you so much. I've missed the Fortnite fam, and now we get to spend weeks together again to talk about Fortnite. Thoughts?
I didn't know you were missing me, Zeke. You know, you can always text me, you know. You know where to find me. But no, on a serious note, I am happy to be back. We're still kicking it. It's been a long year, but a fun one. And look, the next couple of weeks of Fortnite, based off of what we've seen in the past seasons, is going to be brilliant. So I can't wait for it.
Yeah, you know, we missed each other at the same time. We missed all this amazing gameplay because let's be real, it's been a while since we had an FNCS trios. We had the All-Stars in between, which was solos. Super fun event, but now we're back to the main bones of it. Trios, the main event. It's gonna be so good.
Yeah, there's so much to break down. And for you guys that have been with us all this time, you know how this all goes. But for you new faces, don't worry. We're all about inclusivity here. We're going to get you on board. So let's talk about a few things like the broadcast. But first, if you like watching here, watch.fortnite.com. It's a great place to keep us, the leaderboards, both things. It's incredible. So check it out, watch.fortnite.com. All right, now listen, for you new faces, we're going to toss up a graphic. Don't be alarmed. Just follow my voice, okay? It's going to be scary. It's going to be overwhelming. There's numbers. There's colors. Listen, it's okay. Just calm down. Breathe. We got qualifiers. That's where we're at right now. Later on, a few weeks from now, semifinals, reboot round, and our last stop is finals. But don't worry. Levin's here. He's going to break down the qualifiers and what that means for you guys as viewers.
Nothing to fear, 11 is here. We are at Qualifier 1, Round 4. There have been 3 rounds prior to this that our players have been competing in. And look, you know, they've made it through these 3 grueling rounds, but the top 33 players from Round 3 were the ones that made it into this Round 4 here today. And look, the top 3 players, or top 3 teams, that compete in today's competition will automatically qualify to the finals where there is plenty of money to be made. But don't worry, if you're not one of the top 3 teams, you will get a chance to try again in Qualifier 2. And not only will you get another chance to qualify in Qualifier 2, the top 99 teams across all 3 qualifiers will actually qualify to the semi-finals on series points.
Yeah, so most importantly, top 3 today, leaderboards go straight through the finals and skip semi. So the big one we're going to be looking out for on the leaderboards. But you got to get points somehow. So here's the format that we're looking at. Basically, if you get to top 24, that's where you're going to start accumulating some form of placement points all the way up until first, where you're going to get 30 total. So if you get into that top 3, that's when you're going to get tons more placement points. That's the big ones. The players who are going to consistently get into that top 3 are definitely going to be ones who are going to be higher up in our leaderboards, no doubt. But on top of that, it's 2 points per elimination. So all these big elimination pop-off games that we may see will also help them climb up the leaderboards too.
That's right. Finding that balance, eliminations, placement. We will see that help you rocket up the standings. And in finals, this is what we're playing for, baby. Prize money on the line. And of course, the Axe of Champions. An in-game pickaxe to show the world we are your champions of this season. Now, of course, we do have these 7 regions, right? You're probably thinking, well, what are those 7 regions? Are we all playing at the same time? No, some of those are actually already done. So let's take a look at their standings, and we can use that as a metric to measure the competition that we could see today. Take a look here. We've got Moffin's trio, a veteran in the competitive scene over in Asia. Their trio walks away with 224 points. Now, this is something the boys here, we're talking about your top 3. They are auto-qualifying. So that means the next time we'll see points from them will be in finals. But Levin, 224 points. My goodness, that's the way you want to start just week 1.
Yeah, look, great performance from them. And Reese, look, I know you're a massive fan of these guys. So what did you think of their performance?
Look, realistically, going back to like Moffin's team in particular, this is kind of a team switch around for them this season. But Moffin is an ex-FNCS champion from Chapter 2 Season 4. Huge name. If you've ever watched the region at all, Wildhawk is an incredibly aggressive player. And at that, an incredibly successful player, because in Season 5, playing along with Rimmer, those two got 4th as well. So huge success in this team generally across the seasons. Now already in the first qualifier this season, they've managed to push it all the way up to first. And of course, it's not just them. We have 2 more teams who've obviously managed to auto-qualify through to straight to the finals, who are going to be skipping those semi-final stage, which, look, they're going to be happy about it.
Yeah, 100%. And let's take a look down under, because there was also Oceania that happened. And look, I'm not going to lie, there's one thing that stands out to me. Of course, the first place team, Vortex, Jace, Tayson, and yes, Tayson, not Tayson, the EU goat, Tayson, they were able to win 3 out of the 6 games, guys. Look, I'm not, I hate doing maths on broadcast, but look, 50% of the games they won, that is absolutely insane. That must be a phenomenal feeling. And to auto-qualify now for that grand finals is sublime. Of course, the 2 other teams were able to auto-qualify as well. But look, if you are, the other teams looking around in this lobby, you gotta be VOD reviewing these guys. You gotta be looking at what they did to win 3 out of 6 games and try and do that for next week because they performed brilliantly.
Yeah, and the OCE region is the smallest region, so, you know, if any of these teams from other regions are looking and going, it's only OCE, trust me, this still is absolutely incredible to pop up with 3 victory royales out of this. You know, the quality of the games that we're getting in these kind of lobbies are so massive, and to win 50% of those is no small feat. We can't be underestimating this one little bit.
I mean, to have enough gas in the tank, because remember, they're fighting through 3 other qualifiers. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So to do that, and then in qualifier 4, the hardest the competition can be at that stage, to say 50% of the games we've won, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Now, we got to talk about the qualifier 3 for Europe. Remember, we're taking a look at qualifier 4. So let's talk about some of the trios we're seeing, some of the action, and what we can expect as viewers going in. So we got Reese, we got Levin. They're going to break it down for us. Let's take it away.
Yeah, so look, yesterday we obviously had our round 2 and round 3, but from the top of this, look, we're going to take some of the top teams, Floki, Disiptos, and Clement. If you watched them at all last season, they obviously had a lot of kind of interesting kind of discussions and fights with Benji Fishy when it came to their drop spot, but they ended up being victorious, making it through to finals, not being on the biggest show there. However, they were definitely very impressive in the qualifiers, and I expect that they're going to be very impressive in this season's qualifiers too, and they're going to learn from the mistakes and apply that and in the success in the finals too.
Yeah, and look, a team who maybe I didn't expect to necessarily impress, who did yesterday in round 3, was SLQ, Lords, and Dids. These guys are definitely more of an unknown quantity we're going to see today, but with how they performed yesterday, it'll be great sort of, you know, a boost of confidence for them coming into today's lobby. You know, I don't know about you, Reese, but I didn't expect them to do as well as they did, but they did, which is the most important part.
And that's what's cool. There's always these up-and-coming teams who are going to make it right through, who haven't got as much earnings, but this is their time to make it, right? Make it through the finals and get that. But teams who are much more kind of experienced in this, who they're going to be going up against. We've got the likes of Vino, Tayson, and Reason. Obviously, we just went past Kinzel, iDrop, and Wakey, too, who were in second room yesterday. Look, this team has had a little bit interesting backstory because obviously a lot of these guys have split from already established big teams already, come together and thinking that they can perform well. And look, so far it seems to be working out pretty well.
Yeah, 100%. In the tournaments they've played together so far, they have looked, you know, phenomenal. They've looked like one of the best teams we've ever seen in trios. And so it's going to be impressive or important to see how they do in today's competition because there's a lot to prove. We've seen them do well in open qualifier formats. In a set 33-man lobby, there's still something to prove for them. Doesn't mean I'm doubting them because I do think they are a phenomenal trio, but something there to prove.
Dude, the competition always just gets stronger and stronger every season, right? And especially remember, fighting through these qualifiers, there's a high chance some of these high-profile trios won't make it a qualifier for. We've seen stuff like that in previous seasons of FNCS, right? So we'll have to see how these continued weeks unfold. Let's take a look at the new map in Chapter 2, Season 7. We got to talk about some of the POIs. We got to talk about... Oh, I'm sorry. Just kidding. I got ahead of myself. We got to talk about the trios we're going to be watching. I got so excited. I love when we get to draw on the map. Okay, here's the trios we'll be watching today specifically. You guys mentioned Vino, Tayson, and Reason up at the top. There's so many more names down this list that we have to keep an eye on, though.
Yeah, there's an insane amount of names, but a team that stands out to me, Kiri actually Stormy Right Twos, they're a team who I think is just sort of being on the cusp of being considered one of the top trios, right? When you think of the elite trios in Europe this year, you know, you think of the likes of Hen, Janice, Chapix. These guys have that level of skill and that level of quality. They just need to put the performances in now.
It's true, and if we move over to that next page, you will see the next 11 amount of players or teams we have here. Look, you already hinted at Hen, Janice, Chapix already made it through qualifier number 1. They've made it. They placed 22nd yesterday. They've been on a rampage for, I was going to say this season, but realistically, they've been on a rampage for 2021 so far. And coming out today, like, they definitely have to be one of the strongest teams out there. And come on, let's be real, they got to be a top 3 pick.
100%. Let's take a look at that third and final page, though. The last, but certainly not the least. You look at some of the names on here. I'll be honest, yeah. We've got the best pick of the bunch, arguably. You have obviously the fan favorites, the likes of Benji Fishy, who is now playing with Shadow and Joe. I know this year's been a wild one for Benji, hopping from trio to trio, but hopefully this is going to be the one to settle the ship. Of course, you also have Aqua, Vidil, and O'Reilly playing with each other, the return of Mitra on the grand stage. Like, there's so much to be excited about in this lobby today, Reese. It's going to be a heck of a ride.
Look, I'm excited about Mitro's return, right? I know a lot of the viewers out there, a lot of the fan base will be as well, because we've not seen Mitro in a kind of round 4 kind of or a finals custom stage lobby in a long time, and it seems like him and his trio of CRR and X8 have learned a lot from their past, right? There's been a tough couple seasons for them, but it seems to be working out right now, and this is the real test.
Oh man, EU is a crazy battlefield of talent. Okay, now for real, we got to draw. Okay, so this is a brand new map of Season 7. All right, most of the things are pretty much the same, right? We got a few new names up on there. Believers Beach. We got Holly Hatchery. So, gentlemen, talk us through some of the trios we should be keeping our eyes on. Some hot POIs that will be contested, and possibly even some head-to-head matchups we'll be watching over the course of the qualifiers.
We kind of mentioned them a little bit when we're talking about Mitro, X8, and CRR are landing in Slurpy Swamps, a place they've been landing pretty frequently, to be honest, this season. But they're going to be going against Kiriachi, Tus, and Stormy, right? Stormy, right, are the absolute veterans of this drop spot. They've been landing there pretty much for the entire of this chapter, not even the season. So that's going to be an extremely tough fight for them. But not only that, we have Rifla, Astro, and Savage, who are kind of landing nearby in the Hydro 16 area. So in this kind of split down here. And basically, they're probably going to be pushing into third party this fight afterwards. So it could be extremely difficult for them to kind of not be third partied, not get kind of shot in the back. And this fight could be very, very messy.
Yeah, and if we sort of got to speed run this here, but like if we go to Believers Beach, of course, that's where Tayson, Vino, and Reason are going to be landing. They have a lot to prove. Believers Beach is going to be a spot you guys are going to have to look out for this season. It's one of the strongest POIs in the game now, and a lot of top trios want to land there. Fortunately for this trio, they get uncontested this week. They're not going to have that luxury next week, I can assure you that. So they got to make use of it. They have to qualify this week, get top 3 and secure their spot in the finals. Not only them though, we mentioned the return of Aqua, one of the GOATs of Fortnite. He's back on the grand stage, playing with Noah Riley and Vidil. Can they do it out of Bony Burbs? It's always a possibility. And I do want to put some respect on Holly Hatchery, because Kinzel, iDrop, and Wakey, one of the few teams in this lobby who's actually like stuck together, right? Like the roster shuffles always happen in between seasons, always a bunch of new trios. These guys have opted to believe in the project, stick together, and I believe in them for that.
Yeah, and what can we not talk about Hen, Janice, Chapix out of Craggy Cliffs? For them, It's going to be pretty interesting for them being uncontested this time, who now have the ability to kind of W-key teams who are around them from split drops. We have up in this kind of split area up in the northeast, we have Elecrats, Hottie, and Tripper who are going there, who are going to be pretty split, so it could be a Storm Surge strategy for them. Same with Remix, Squint, and Cisse down in this kind of area down below, kind of picking up some of the Zate Hill and the Blue Steel Bridge area. So for them, definitely looking out for them to kind of W-key in through this way, get their tags in that way.
Dude, I love it. The breakdown is insane. Let's take a look at some of the spotlights from one of the trios we were kind of talking about here. Real fast, 11 tournament wins. This is across DreamHack, Cash Cups, FNCSs, etc. Hen, Janice, and Chapix. There's a reason we talk about these teams, Levin.
Yeah, look, they are former FNCS champions at the end of the day, and so they're always a threat. And to be honest, Zeke, I still believe they're the best trio in the world. They have an average placements of 3rd in FNCS competitions over the course of this year. That's absolutely insane, right? These guys, I believe, are still the best trio in the world and the trio to watch today.
Yeah, I mean, they're trio to watch in every single tournament overall. They have 5 victory rounds across all of the FNCS finals that they've made it through, which is some of the best of all of the teams so far. So look, if they're not our predictions for some of them today, sneak peek.
That's a great segue. That's a great segue. Real fast, let's touch on our predictions. Teams we think could walk away the Victory Royale winners, the most winningest on the day. And Levin and Reese, you guys are in agreement. It is the trio we just spotlighted: Hen, Janice, and Chapix.
Well, yeah, I think, to cut it short, at the end of the day, the history books will show that these guys coming into this lobby were set up to be the best trio, right? You look at every team, and as much as you can be impressed by many of the teams, these guys have shown it at the highest level countless times, and they are 100% the favorites to not just win, but to autocall. They need to autocall. They need to get top 3 because that's the standards they set of themselves.
Yeah, and Charles going with Vino, Taste, and Reason. We've already mentioned how good they are. Sancho's going with High Chris, Vortex, and Knight. One of the best teams, I think, this season, performing through Cash Cups and Qualifiers so far. So look, hands down a good pick.
Oh, man, it is so good. I'm loving the breakdown here. And of course, we'll be seeing Shy Wager and Sancho in just a little bit. But Fortnite fam, we hope you guys are ready and prepared because we're getting ready to jump aboard the battle bus. We've got 6 matches ahead of us. We've got Shy, we've got Sancho. They'll be breaking down the action. We'll come back between games. We'll break down some of the analytical parts, take a look at the leaderboards, and of course, keep up with all the Fortnite action. So with that being said, y'all know what time it is. We got to go say hi to the boys with the nicest shirts you'll ever see in the land. It's Shy Wager. It's Sancho West, friends. Over to you.
It is time for Chapter 2, Season 7 of the FNCS. Sancho, I mean, we've got parasites, we've got aliens, but it's going to be us invading your eyes, hearts, and ears for 6 games in Europe. So much on the line. That top 3 was the main focus on the desk, but there's so many teams we have to look out for today, Sancho.
Oh, no doubt. And we are going to see the beginnings of a phenomenal ride here. And I'm hoping that we get to see the beginnings of Tayson's dominance. We see the FNCS All-Star champion maybe be able to take another trio into the finals. But Shayo, we got to say, there's a lot of big names not in today's fight.
Yeah, today, Steady Kemi, Tiki, Anas, Flick, Thomas HD, Kazix, 4ZR, Nate, some of these Titan trios who we're used to watching take big spots of the map are not going to be playing today. So there's going to be a lot of new kind of faces and old taking over those POIs. It'll be very interesting. Some of the same old big names, but a little bit of new spice all around the map as well. And we're tuning in with Floki, Deciptos, and Clement on their drop for game number 1.
And just taking a look at the feed right now, Refresh taking out passive. That means the bus started on that northwest side coming down here towards Misty. And essentially that's going to be a battle at the Deep Woods dish that we have to keep an eye on. But right now, Floki, Deceptos, Clement, a team coming out normally a Pleasant Park from last season, now switching the drops out to Misty Meadows. And the battle's already started with a crazy 50-50. And there you go. Elimination's already started. Floki picking up the Elim on Mwaka.
Milwaukee already going down. It's so fast and misty at the start of this season. Usually over time, it takes a while for these trios to end up fighting, but they want to waste none whatsoever. Floki is going to help in picking up another as well. That'll be Koro going down. Past that, a 3v1 will be up for grabs, and I don't think Splash has any chance of kind of bouncing out of the water in this one.
I am amazed right now. The feed is just lighting up. We saw this last season where essentially the first, like in the finals, the first game 1, that Elim feed was just lighting up. So we're seeing the EU region stepping it up. And look at it. Huddy taking out SLQ. We got Wax taking out Dids. This is what we're talking about. It's FNCS time. CRR knocking Kirachi. So that's a battle out there down in Slurpy Swamps that is developing, folks. This is insane right now, Shia. Look at it.
Yeah, we got to zoom straight to Slurpee, hopefully very soon. Kiriachi getting completely eliminated after that knock as well. That's a very, very hot fight we were looking at to start off with. There it is. CRR now, 2v1. 102 rolls in. Stormy Right surviving with just a little bit of HP, but he gets the clutch, gets the finish. That's what you expect from CRR, and I'm so glad to be watching him once again on the main stage.
I am so surprised going into this battle. We already highlighted at the analyst desk there, Shayo, that we're saying this is Kiriachi's place. He's been here since the beginning of Chapter 2, Season 1. But CRR, alongside with Mitro and X8, kind of throwing the first blows in that battle. And we go from the craziness that's been happening throughout the entire opening moments of Game 1 into the calmness and the chill vibes at Believer Beach.
Yeah, Believer Beach, Tayson, Vino, Reason are going to be rolling in. I think the biggest issue for these guys here is just, how Surge is going to work off of this spot. There's not going to be anyone directly contesting them. And around them are a lot of top tier teams usually straight away from going towards Believer Beach, Sweaty Sands, whatever you guys are nostalgically remembering this kind of POI as. So we'll see them kind of roll away. The big fact, though, is that, Tayson, one of the most glorified in terms of the titles that he has and the dominance he's had on the EU scene, whether it's solo, whether it's with a trio, Sancho. I mean, no matter which team he's on, he performs.
And here is the first peek at the storm. Zone 1 has been revealed. You're going to be a little bit of South Central. So all those teams that are fighting in Slurpy Swamp, that's going to be Mitros trio looking good. You have Bad Sniper, who's moved over from Lazy Lake and switched trios down in Weeping Woods. And then you have Ingram sitting dead center there at the Defiant Dish looking solid. Of course, Boney Burbs is going to be the northmost portion of that. And that's going to be that trio that we're talking about. Aqua, and that's going to be interesting to see. We talked about the GOAT and Tayson. Can Aqua come back and let the world know that he's still the GOAT?
That is one of the big questions too, and something to touch on that was on the desk as well as a talking point is kind of the whole top 3 scenario of making it all the way towards finals, and the fact there's so many fights all the way around. We have Pen, Janice, Chapix as well rolling in way off of Craggy, picking up a big fight towards Stealthy towards the top. But in general, right, Sancho, you're looking at a bunch of teams that not only want to qualify for the finals, but if they do it this week, they get a lot of say as to, their drop spot for the rest of the season. Like they get to control it. They get it first. That is huge, especially for some of these guys who might not be at spots that are completely claimed yet.
And at the same time, you know, some of the ones need this top three. I've seen a lot in terms of their past history that they struggle in the semifinals, and sometimes, you know, they don't do well in the reboot round. So this is it. This is all or nothing here. And that's what I love about this new format change that we did last season. It is top three, and you automatically scoot all the way through to the finals. And what I'm surprised is seeing the aggression out of Hen's trio here. Normally, they kind of loot up there. They kind of take their time. They hit all the fishing spots. But seeing that the Elam feed lit up early, they went ahead and pushed over to the formerly known as Stealthy Stronghold.
Yeah, I think one of the big things is to just, you know, get your early game win condition out of the way, which is just make sure you get into at least one fight, get that surge down, especially towards these outer edge POIs. If you're in the business inside Boney Burbs looking at exactly who could be beside you, you could wait a little bit, loot out an extra spot or minute more, and then move later, because you'll be running into many teams beside you. Here's Vidil, Noah Riley, and Aqua. You'll see the, you know, the foreign characters here. That's Noah Riley. Wave high ground, that's Vidil. Let me just work translator really quick. And then Aqua is always on height, so that is a given. But they should be very, very scary to watch. I just feel like for this trio, sometimes the starts of these, you know, final format set lobbies are kind of slow.
Indeed, and we were talking about all that action a little bit earlier, Shao, just to give you an update on the trios that did fall. Lawson, Dids, and SLQ are out. Kirachi, Storming Right, and Toos are down, and you have Shady, Passive, and Baffo went out early, and then you have Splash and Mawaka's trio out. So that's about 4 trios already gone. And yeah, you talked about Surge Plan. What's going to be the Surge Plan out of Boney Burbs? And considering that there is the abductor right over there, the UFO kind of looming out in the distance there in the aftermath, and I would think that they would utilize those permanent pads out there and maybe utilize that updraft vibe to be able to push into maybe risky, maybe be a little bit more aggressive and pleasant. But so far, they're taking their time here and looting them properly.
Yeah, the fact that they're actually going straight for loot more than anything else makes me feel like, you know, especially with the zone that they have, they're waiting out and possibly going for edge zone fights instead of taking control of these southern mountains fast. While that all happens, though, the slowest fight you could possibly find on the map here over at Corny Complex will be between Riot's trio and what I believe to be Benji's possibly right in front of them. No, it's actually High Chris that's slightly running away. You can end up going towards the basement here, Sancho, the factory plant, and end up just delaying things so much. There's bushes, there's cornfields. It's a crazy fight you don't see anywhere else on the island.
This is by far my favorite POI in their introduction here this season. Now, my pick here is the High Chris's trio. It totally relies on how fast they get rid of Roban's trio, and so far, that is not the issue. But let's go back into this fight. It is Bobby's trio going up against the Goat Aqua's trio here. So Bobby's here for this fight. Bobby Frey, and oh my goodness, the beams from the backside here, all the way on the mountain out in that dish area. That is Ingram's trio sending the beam swords here, Noah Riley, and they're going to stop and pause, and you are seeing the Storm Surge plan right here, and that is to aggressively push any trio that's making the rotation through Boney Burbs.
Yeah, they're just slightly towards the center point of the circle, or not all the way away from the edge. So there are going to be a bunch of other eyes on them. Versa will be able to run away completely, but they'll have a base to catch anyone else coming in from the north side and just be kind of a toll gate for anyone trying to ride in this zone highway.
Now you're seeing, folks, as everyone's setting up into their Storm Surge plans, going up on the mountains. This is the moments where they're going to rely on their beams here. We're on board here with Kenzo, iDrop, Wakey. We already see that Levin kind of pointing out this is a trio that's been together for a bit. And which is quite surprising there, Shayo, I would have to say, is that when it comes down to this, it's like so many trios traditionally stick together with EU, but this season, so many different trios are kind of mixing up. And after the results of this week, we might see more mix-ups among all the top trios.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest things, aside from, like, you know, a lot of the top teams not making it this week, the on the book format type record stuff. Off the record, off the books, just the roster swaps we're watching. One big thing on the line is not only the top 3, but making sure that your team swap made more sense than, you know, the teammates that you left behind. There's big matchups, you know, today that kind of represent that. The biggest one, honestly, is Taste and Vino Reason versus Vidil, Aqua, Noah Riley.
And we're seeing in the feed, it looks like Podosai coming from Steamy Stacks, kind of being a third party into that Corny Complex, taking down High Chris. But here is those couple of teams that kind of formed together last minute. You have Savid, Rifla, and Astro kind of being a nuisance over there to Wolfie's trio, which is filled with Milan and Marine. So we're seeing it right now. The Storm Surge plans are in effect. Everyone's kind of pursed up in the respective bases, Shayo.
Yeah, quick stat for this team too. The fact that they placed top 10 in every single game they played in round 3, that might make you think that, wow, they should be a shoo-in for round 4, right? For me personally, Sancho, when I see that, it's kind of a little bit of a trap for me in terms of a statistic, because every time you see these teams do very well in round 3, they're handling the randomness, they're handling the changes every single game. When they get into the set lobby and they actually need surge paths, It's not just making it to zone or playing aggressive. When they have top teams near them now, it's not just the willy-nilly, 1,500 rolling in or the 150 rolling in. That's where things get different. That's where that play style that they might think is good is actually a poison for them. So they'll have to make some changes. That squad's Astro Sabers and Riflas and just approaching this game in general. Past that too, we got Nikov rolling in with Podesai. Natasha Uchiha, we'll see if he can trap anyone in that Mangekyo in just a second, but we'll see what's going through in a little bit for these guys. They're going to be rolling in off the north very, very fast. That'll be a very smart thing to do if you're trapped beside so many teams and bases like we saw Tayson, Vino, Reason, and Vidil, Aqua, Noah Riley making towards the center of the map.
Of course, Nikov, leaving the kind of traditional team of Blaster and Alpha, joining One Loss and Podesai, and we're seeing that their plan is to third party anything that's happening in Courting Complex. So it's important for High Crest's trio to wrap up that fight. So now we're back on board to the mountainous ranges here. Wolfies and Milan and Marine already had to dip into their heels, considering one of them was knocked there from Save It out there in that top left here. But all the action is happening. Now we got ourselves a box fight, and still Noah Riley and Aqua now be able to get Shake Coast right there. This is very big for them, Shao, considering that they couldn't really capitalize on Versus rotation. So these are going to be very valuable Storm Surge, but at the same time, they have to survive this fight.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very tough. We know how long these guys looted for in general. They had very, very good both mats, heals, and weapons to roll with. So Noah Riley should have no issue probably popping a med kit to get all the way back up. There'll be enough shields. You can already see them in Aqua's inventory, but he has to play defense for the time being. Reason's moving in, and now we have ex-teammates on each other's walls and boxes with one man down and shields on the ground too. This is going to be tough to get out of.
They don't want this fight right now. They are 584 above Storm Surge. There's no way they want any business with Tayson, Vino, and Noah Riley. You talk about two teammates colliding, but it is literally two titans. And looks like Satisfied already being a nuisance. Vino and Reason are going to go ahead and go away. But now Kenzel, Waking, iDrop are in trouble because Ingram, Box, and Buzz are here. Kenzel gets knocked once again. iDrop and Waking now going to have to try their best. And actually, Wakey has a Parasite on top of his head. So he's going to be limited to 75 white HP, but he will have some movement abilities as well. Move a little bit faster as well, get some jumps. So Wolfies knocks Buzz here from the backside, but Wakey, Kenzel, and iDrop are doing all that they can just to get away from the attention, and they find a nice little nook here to res up and heal up.
They actually also end up using a bunch of time, which is a resource you can never really get back inside Fortnite to be able to get that res off. Lose slight position as well. 169 damage buff Surge might not be enough rolling in towards the later portions of the game, so they will have to catch back up whenever possible. That being said, while they're kind of stuck between a rock and a parasitic place, we got Chapix, Janice, and they're rolling in. They're towards the center of the zone. I'm liking these low base boxes that are towards the ground. These guys have already kind of set through what they're playing with the early game fight. Almost 1,000 damage above Surge, Sancho. I mean, they are free to play this game however they want.
Yeah, that was a great push going into it. And right now, Benji is in the feed. Pablito, Damian going down. And you're seeing Benji actually utilizing the Cami split, and he would have been contested. But so far, we didn't see him earlier on. So meaning that he may have got that split to himself. Joe is right there to clean that up. But yes, I agree with you. We're seeing the changes. And yes, here he is, Benji Fishy, picking up Shadow and Joe. Now, this is one of those things. Like every time I see them, they like to aggressively play for height, even though right now they're in a world of hurt with this fire. But that's what I would like to see. Can they execute in a set lobby and be able to control height, considering that there's so many other trios who do it better?
Actually, you're right. So many godlike height trios here today. Literally, Aqua has his name as always on height, and he's alive for this one. Before they get towards the heavens, they have to deal with what's on the ground right in front of them. We force Jamswood rolling in once again from the north, kind of battling Podesai as you saw before. Parasite taken a little bit away from Shadow for the moment, and actually gets knocked off while he's moving all the way through. It'll be worth, though, to trade that damage.
I got to feel that Parasite saved him. I heard a sniper shot followed by the Parasite going off. And if for those you don't know, it will absorb a headshot really well. So there's some value in it. And so that was done really nicely if that happened.
You'll see the tech of a lot of medkits also just being held so you can kind of make the HP back from using those Parasites and making sure that you don't get hit and taken out or put in a spot that, you see a lot of these players in. Wow, Chapik so close and landing that sniper shot. The zone's also getting much smaller and central for a lot of these teams. This is not a pattern you usually see with the third zone locking in, Sancho. A lot of the times it pulls even more south in a zone like this. Lots of teams prep for that as well, trying to predict where the zone goes. But every time it's central, I feel like everyone just gets thrown into chaos.
And the chaos is about to get a little bit better as you see everyone prepping. And now in the distance, Gorgeous Gorge right there, that tremendous waterfall. We'll be seeing some zones that may go ping pong back and forth. And now you're seeing, we talked about the teams that are going to be going for hype. One of those teams is Aqua's teams, and they are set up in a very decent position, not necessarily central here in Zone 3. Of course, Zone 4 will go more centralized. And the all key factor is having those clean rotations. And they do have a launch pad, Shia, which has made a return, has been unvaulted. And that's going to be a key factor throughout the entire season.
Yeah, you got to make sure your aim is also good towards the end games to knock people off who are flying in the sky. For this zone, though, it's all about how much you want to gamble with your investments of bases at this moment. You could move a little bit more central. You see the purple arrows are on the minimap already doing it, but for a lot of these guys already on mountains, they're going to have to keep repairing their bases, making sure they're making boxes where people might be able to, climb right beside them, make sure everything is just good on their lair. As they do that, though, the zone could just not lock in Sancho. It could be a wasted investment entirely. That could be very dangerous. And the most dangerous part about this is that there's not enough space on the map. You'll see moments like this. Wakey right below, another box right above him, which is Buzz, Voxy, and Agram, who had a little bit of beef with them before still. Milan trapped right beside Toby and Dezinho. Even as a duo, you're still a big threat. They will pick up Hera on the side, though. That's huge for some of the loot that Wolfies absolutely needs in these big pots, but everyone's going to trap on that south side, Sancho.
We got about 5 seconds here to the next zone's going to be revealed here. We've already passed the placement threshold. It's already been doused out. About 5 placement points were doused out when 24 people were still up there. So we're getting closer and closer to the in-game moments. We're still in mid-game here. Wolfies, Milan, Marine, one of those trios that we're wondering, can it work? And so far, it has been working, considering they had a really great round 3. And round 4 is going to have to true where the proof is in the pudding and see put it all together. But what has been the most delicious pudding throughout the entire EG region, of course, it's Hen, Janice, and Chapix, who you already mentioned it, being able to come in a top 10 place and being highly contested by High Crescent's trio, and considering that they only survived and made it to in-game 3 times, they were able to put up that top 10, just shows you the caliber of a trio this team is.
Absolutely. And now we'll wait for the lull moments for a lot of these guys to end up rotating. See, Noah Riley, Aqua, and Vidil push for it. We're pressing height first, but there are so many different trios I'm thinking about that like it when there's a team right above them. Elocrat's one of them, who's right below their base immediately. Wakey, Kinsla, iDrop also like that mid-low ground operation as they're moving through, especially in a lobby like this.
Quick question, Shio. Is it worth to have a Parasite? Sacrificing that 25 HP at this moment right here, would you want a Parasite on your head right now?
Definitely in this position, yes, because you never know what ends up happening between these 4th to 5th zone rotations. And Sancho, as the game gets later, elims end up coming through plentifully compared to before, right? You can make that 25 HP back on the Siphon. Benji right now, 1 elimination. That Parasite will get traded in it. He'll block the damage, get the 50 HP off the Siphon too. It's definitely worth it.
Wow, we're just seeing right now the tech getting pulled out, and Benji's trio is looking really solid with 3 eliminations and 245 above right now. So they're going to be able to sit a little bit pretty, be a little bit less aggressive. They don't have to be all in or nothing when it comes to box fight. They're going to sit back passively and just shoot at people from a distance, relying on their range here as they get some shots here at Giannis, and that's going to slow down that push for hype. But you're talking about it right here. We're going to literally have a tale of 2 different hype pushes right now, considering it is split right down the middle from Gorgeous Gorge.
Oh, one wants to take control of the center. Wakey, though, taking lots of body shots. He has to back all the way up, but there's nowhere to go. Behind him, the ground is looking really, really weird, and the Parasite's gone too, so now the damage will be absolutely lethal. He's going to have to try to get out. Sancho, these guys are like working the bottom of the barrel for position. This is tough.
Yeah, we saw them in that engagement. They slipped down. You talk about being that rocking against that parasitic place, but it is affecting them so much. They only got placement points considering they have got 0 elims. So yes, they made it this far, but to be able to get nothing beyond just that 5 points is not going to be a great match for them. And it's the same thing that's going to go to anyone else that's being really passive and not racking up those elims. But Giannis, Hen, and Chapix right now getting a little bit lobby focus here on the outside. They're going to have to be sure as they're just barely holding on and they're barely inside. But look at it. So much pressure being put down by Mirza's trio, and from the bottom side, Diablo's trio right now trying to trip them up.
And why is that? Because the surge is active. Kinzel just 100 above. Mirza's trio is below and has lost all their shield. Wakey has gone down once again to Foxy. These guys have not left their side the entire time. It'll be a 2-man operation now in one of the worst spots in zone you've ever seen, with everyone just taking surge damage over and over again.
They're tanking the zone. Right now, Zone 5 has been revealed as going towards the north. There's already a lot of trios already making the move. This trio right here, Kenzel, has not. They do have a launch pad, but they have a lot of people in front of them, and they're gone. The pressure too much. Elocrats right there, and Hottie and Tripper were able to close that out, but now we're on board with someone a little bit of greener pastures here, as now they're going to go ahead and shoot as many other people rotating around them. And look, they have a lot of options here in front of them. They got 2 trios to be able, and they do get 1 knock. Yes, take a look at the zone 5 right now. There's about 5 trios who have not made their way through.
Yeah, this side of the block is living that big, rich life. No surge to worry about, but that storm surge sector of homes is making the rotation in from the bottom left. You can see on your screen, there still are a few arrows left. Everyone's still trying to dictate exactly how things will work. Elocrats has somehow on the bottom right of your screen made it out, but Tripper goes down as a consequence, and they're still getting sprayed by everyone. Nothing in this zone is gained for free, and he goes down. Now it's all up to Hottie to try to clutch for the trio. Aqua, he sees all from height, and he punishes anyone making mistakes.
Even though Tripper's trio was able to get Wakey's trio right there, they paid the price on their rotation. But here it is, Shayo, you see it.
Yeah, I see it. 2 big teams fighting for high ground, and not one has it just yet. It is going towards the side of Janus, Chapix, and Hen. They're going to be having the advantage on where the zone pulls, but the actual advantage of how high ground is goes all the way back to Vidil, Noah Riley, and Aqua. 2 Titan teams fighting for the most powerful spot on the map. That'll be the story for this endgame.
Here comes a rotation, and here's the ability. You hear all the gliders going off now. This is where the launch pad's going to be a key factor, and they're actually going to go for a high pad. This is super dangerous, as now the tags are happening. Noah Riley doing his best to avoid it, but in this kind of lobby, that was a really dangerous to go to the front side and be able to cap that other team down below. But wow, what a crazy pad right there, and there's the rest. Jen, Hannes, and Chapix are going for the high pad as well. Most likely will go to the front side as well, and look at it. Who's on height? It is Janice, Chapix, and Hen.
We'll see Aqua, though, actually re-hit the pad and maybe have a chance to interrupt them on height and work for his team to come back up. But no, it is Janus, Chapix, and Hen who end up holding it out for the rest of the day and maybe even the rest of this game. We'll see what's possible. Reason jumping off the backside, not getting hit at all. His movement is way too clean, but like a side-scroller screen, we see everyone moving from right to left with no interruptions whatsoever on every single layer. Everyone trying to keep ahead of the zone, making sure that no one tries to send them home whatsoever. And Mitro with CRR and X8 is also alive in this endgame. Sancho, if we go towards that last zone and Mitro finds a purple pump, this is going to be dangerous.
This is exciting to see. The big name is making a return alongside with CRR and X8. Can Mitro return to glory, who has been always on social media, everybody questioning his commitment to the game, but Mitro is trying to prove that he is one of the best still in the game. That is the picture down low. On high still, Janice has it, and we still see Tayson's trio is still on the front side here. On the outer edge, Astro, Rifla still on the bottom, but at height here, you're seeing the Storm Surge going through for a minute. 4 people have to go down here on this moving circle Storm Surge. Nico, Bodasai gets some knocks here on Lolito and Horno. Benji is still up, and he gets elimination on Swift.
Yeah, for this top tier team, though, Janice, Chapix, and Hen, it's all about holding this presidential position. No one's going to be able to usurp them off the office. We'll see if it's possible for any other team to get in position, but they're so high, and they actually have height double tiered if possible before with Chapix. No, they are not confident. They know that no one can really interrupt them. Is that maybe an oversight? I'm not sure. Vidil's down, though. For this team, who could be only one of the only ones in the lobby to contest them, it's not possible for them. There's big things happening, though.
Oh my goodness, Vitro and CRR are just cooking up down below, but Noah Riley is still having such a dominant position. Mitro finally gets knocked by Jamsud. My question is on high, is they only down the south mats, and Hen is going to go sent down to cause trails. He does get hit really hard, so it's up to Chapix and Hen right now, and Janice. They're looking good, and now they're going to be sent down below to Prowl as Benji gets eliminated. Reason picks up an elimination on Jamsud. This is it. It's a top 6 situation, and we talked about who's going to be able to walk away and get into the top 3. Jen, Hannix, and Chapix are that trio right here, right now. But Tayson, the golden man of the hour, is still alive alongside with his partner, Reason.
Lots of different teams on every single layer that have the potential to win this game. It can go anyone's way still. It's all about the zone closing in all the way towards the very end. 5 trios left now. 10 different players. Tayson going for the end at 148. Aqua's about to be deleted. Tayson's getting heated, and it's only just starting right now. Noah Riley going down from the left as well. CRR on the back walls, but Tayson does not care. He's going to go for the edit, make the shot. No, actually work for the position. Hen, Janice, and Chapix, they're dropping down now. Still, so many teams they have to basically slice through, but man, these would build barrels, everything down below. It's just too thick. Tayson, he's going down. The water is a bit too trudgy to walk through. And this top tier team on Heights, Sancho, they're going to wrap this thing all the way up for the moment. The team we knew would win the game and possibly even take first for the day. Chapix, Hen, and Janice make it just look way too easy.
11 eliminations and the victory royale. Once they got hold in Height, it's all known from the Fortnite competitive community. They will not give it up, and they held it on to the end. What a great first performance here in game one for those boys, Shio.
Man, it was expected. Like we 11 and reset. These guys should be getting first. They clapped it up. I mean, I want to see the reactions on the desk. Zeke, I mean, what do we got?
Dude,
Yes, sir.
What in the world? Okay, so you know what's so crazy to me? Oftentimes we watch games in the FNCS, and the first game never goes the way we think it goes. All these high-profile, top-tier players, they go down in like your top 10, and then just like a trio we're not used to seeing wins a game. Not the case in Chapter 2, Season 7. Head Janice Chapix. There's a reason why we talked about them. There's a reason why we highlighted them at the top of show. Levin, the boys, they hit so hard. 11 elims and the victory out in just game one. We have 5 more games, Levin.
Look, for the people watching at home, I assure you, I promise you, this is not scripted. This was not pre-planned. You know, we didn't know this was going to happen. We knew it was going to happen, but we didn't know it was going to happen.
Sure.
Like, we're watching greatness. We are genuinely watching greatness. And, you know, you put it perfectly. You don't see this happen where the people you expect to just do well in the first game are the ones doing well. But I can assure you this is going to continue like this, because when they are in that kind of form, when they take height the way they did, when they hold on to it the way they did, you know, just pure, you know, clean, ruthless execution. This is the best trio in the world. I said at the top of the show, and I reiterate that now. These guys are the top of Fortnite.
Yeah, and make it look so easy as well, right? It was effortless. Eliminations. You say it's not scripted, but when you have a team this good, I mean, it's written already. It's written out there. It's in stone already at this point. And this is they won game one here in their last season of the qualifiers that they played, which was season 15, which was the one they won, by the way, the finals for. They won their first game there as well. So maybe we're going to see a repeat. Maybe it's just a mirror season. We'll see.
Mirror season, mirror zones. Shy Wager owns all of that. But for now, let's take a look at some of the intro moments that started the game off. Moments that we might have missed here on broadcast. Reese and Levin are going to break it all down for us. Let's talk about these early fights.
Yeah, I think like early on, this was something that we just kind of caught the tail end of was CRR. You can already see Mitro is down. The 1v3 as well. X8's in this area. But look, CRR's just using what he knows best. The AR spray picks up 2 of the opponents. That's Kiriachi down as well now at this point. So now, obviously, X8 gets picked up. He hits the big pump shot going through as well. And Stormy Right is then picked up. So this was the catalyst for them to have a huge amount of success and ended up actually with 10 eliminations total.
Yeah, look at the top dogs here. They rotate out Craggy, and they really got to business, right? We know they had 11 eliminations by the end of it, but they put in work over at Stealthy Stronghold to begin with. You can see Hen here. You know, he's looking to be, you know, his own Thomas HD impression, hits the snipe shot, then connects to the shots after that. Look, these guys are the pure definition of ruthless aggression when it comes to them taking these kind of fights. When they know they can just take the 3v3, they know no one else in the world is going to be here at Stealthy Stronghold other than this one team they have to fight, and they thrive in these environments, right? When they know they have a 3v3, because they know realistically there's not many people that can take them on in a 3v3.
Yeah, you notice the headshot snipe onto the knock body, also giving that max Storm Surge damage. That whole push was basically to do with eliminations and Storm Surge damage. That, you know, we talked about this early game. They've already figured it out. But Clement, Floki, Deceptos, another fight that we're seeing off spawn. They absolutely dominated early. And unfortunately, it didn't necessarily work out too much for them. They pushed up to 9th, but we'll hopefully kind of push further than that. Right now, though, Hen, Janice, Chapix, are we surprised? Wait, we've already said it. No, we're not.
Yeah, look. Genuinely so good at what they do. Mitro, CR next stage second though. It's a good surprise. It's a good surprise. All the Mitro fans watching, I'm sure you'll be happy to see him there in second. Look, a lot of top talent on this page, but we always say we don't want to overreact to the first game. There's still plenty to come. If you look at the next page though, Reese, because there are a lot of players who maybe didn't have the game they wanted, but still have an opportunity to come back.
Yeah, in 13th with Rifle, Saven, and Astro, you know, when we were watching there, I was really excited because it looked like they were super deep in such a good position, low ground, with tons of materials left and with good HP, but it all kind of went a bit wrong for them at that point. 13th overall, 11th place basically in that game with only 2 eliminations. So it looked good, obviously had a little bit of a fumble, but overall, right, that's a good start. Now they just need a bigger game to get them up into that top 10.
Yeah, bro, that's right. And I think Levin put it best. We don't want to harp too much on anything, right? This is just game one. There's nothing too crazy. We got 5 more games ahead of us, and you heard it. It's the Battle Bus sound, which means we're getting ready for the next game. So we're going back over to C2S and Shy Wager to take us into game number 2 of the FNCS.
If all of Earth was EU, then Hengenis and Chapix would have global domination. I'm not harping back on it, Sancho. I'm diving deep into this. These guys are honestly, I said it before 2 seasons ago, the kings of EU.
So you're basically, if this is the Earth, they're like the water, right? Because water covers about 75% of the planet. So yeah, these guys are very good. They're very dominant. But hey, there was a couple of other trios in there that are right behind them. And they already talked about Mitro. He was racking up so many eliminations. But I'm looking at the leaderboard. Noah Riley right there in 3rd place as well, Shayo.
Yeah, they're looking really good, and it's nice that you bring Mitro up because although there is a type of global domination, it doesn't mean that it's peace all across the lands, right? They're having a war season after season, regardless of who it is at Slurpy Swamp. This time, Mitro's a part of it, and against Kiriachi, that could go either way, Sancho, game to game.
Yeah. That is my concern right there for all the Mitro fans that are getting hyped that Mitro's in second, all going to social media, typing it in. You got to watch out, man. Kiriachi right there is going to be that thorn on his side the entire day, and it's not going to make it easy for him to progress. So it's basically a coin toss right there, and I really think that Kiriachi is going to definitely slow down the Mitro train today.
Yeah, absolutely. But still, their styles are so different in the end of the game. And there's so many other trios to also look at jumping in to this next one. Game number 2 of EU Qualifier 1. I mean, what's on the line here, Sancho? The top 3 going to finals. Finals having over $1 million of prizing. I mean, EU's eating good this month.
Indeed. And right now, the most big question right now, is Benji going to be the one at the table when it's all said and done? Last season, he was with Amplify and Matzo and only make it to the heat stage and was forced to go to the reboot round and really didn't see much from Benji. Now switching up, picking up Joe and Shadow, who are the veteran duo of this group, who normally do a trio up with Stompy. But here they are at the new dish, kind of taking over the Cammy split a little bit, but they're not really split up as much as that trio. They're more sticking together.
Yeah, they have a lot of room to kind of work with just because, Steady Cammy Teak aren't here. There's no pressure from the north side. At the same time, Robab and High Chris, that battle going on at Corny Complex, it kind of seems like it's a battle of leftovers from the lands of different, contesting either Scraggy Cliffs or Dirty Docks. That'll be cool to tune in with. Slurpy Swamp, though, yeah, back to the war. Mitro versus Kiriachi. I feel like this is slightly Mitro's side. These guys are just absurdly aggressive and go for the craziest peaks. I don't feel like Kiriachi will be able to adapt as fast today.
Hey, you got to remember, Mitro is the Bullseye Bonanza champion. Went up against his boy Mongrel. The beams are there. We were all there watching the fun. He was able to rack in $10,000. But let's go ahead and bring in focus here. In the previous round 3, Shile, this trio was able to get 55 eliminations. So a bulk of their work was not placements. It was all done through the Elim train.
It's always about the shotguns there. But right now, Podesai, this fight will actually roll all the way in and be slightly more gems decided from what I'm seeing right now. Steamy Stacks, game 1 will have disengages. It happens every single tournament. By game 2, these guys realize, hey man, let's just fight off spawn. I don't want to do this thing where I run into Aqua or I run into Tayson as I'm rotating in. Let's get the Surge over and dealt with here. Rip off the Band-Aid fast.
And that Band-Aid is going to have a little bit of an ouch vibe to it there. One loss. He's going to have to retreat back with a very difficult peak. And Jamshoot just goes right in, puts a cone, prevents all that from happening. And Nikov nips and Jamshoot. Nikov right now is all by himself, and this is where I'm worried about these kind of things. We already saw what happens on Slurpy Swamps. It could be a little stalemate or it could be quickly over, but when it comes to Steamy Stacks, you kind of said it right there. They just end up fighting, and ultimately, unless you're in Dreda, Resguard, and Savage, this is not going to be a good engagement to take, Shio.
Oh, it's funny you mentioned that trio too, because this is what these guys are basically playing forward to looking to, right? When it comes to making it towards the finals, at least if they choose to stay at Steamy Stacks. And from what I'm looking at right now in terms of these fights, it doesn't look like up to par with the caliber of that trio that just, owns this entire POI.
It's kind of like this is a rental, and right now they're making a big mess out of it. And Nikov right here is just going to have to stall as much as possible to slow down Jamswood. But it could be just an adjustment on Surge. Maybe they're not finding people on the rotation. Of course, Benji was there on that rotation. Hottie and Tripper down in Orchard split. Maybe they're not getting the tags right there. So maybe when it comes to this entire thing, people why they take engagement is because they're not finding the Storm Surge value.
Yeah, there's kind of the opposite from the other sides of the map, right? I remember you talking about it in game 1. So many things happen right off the battle bus, right? Maybe
really quickly.
5-6 trios going down quickly. Look at it now. 2 trios going down. Some slightly affected with a few elims, but the server otherwise is absolutely silent.
I really felt like the scrum began on the battle bus. You know, when you're after school, you're sitting there, you're just hitting the back of the heads, everybody's kicking the seats. That's what went down. But here it is. I'm totally, maybe I was a little bit too highbrow or too much in the mind trying to pick these guys because right now they're making me look silly. But I think it's the reason why is just so many people are rotating quickly through, understanding that they can pick up the scraps very easily. Knight got an elimination, but Wolfies Milan, they're coming in from the aftermath, and that has a lot of ability to get here quickly, and you're seeing the adjustments made by Wolfie's trio.
Yeah, Central drop, they already got their loot done with, and that'll be a big delay. Top down, once again, it's so impossible to kind of force the fight at Corny. The attacking team is always at the disadvantage. Meanwhile, the same rotation, it looks so fly on the boat we saw in that analyst package, and they've already touched down at land. What used to be Stealthy Stronghold will be basically, you know, Janice's second home now. These guys keep visiting the cottage and leaving with like food that's already in the fridge.
And leaving with so much eliminations. Right now, you're seeing Hen had 7 eliminations for all the players here. Benji still eliminating people in the feed. This might be Benji's day. I mean, I've seen him in the feed getting 2-3 pieces. But I have to feel bad for everybody here in the Deep Woods dish. You're just going to be a dish for this very hungry trio who are no doubt know that they're the best in the lobby.
Yeah, look at that triple pinch all around. There's no way for ESRB to kind of expand, gain some ground, and actually work the defense properly. Every wall they have is basically boxed in by either Chapix, Janice, or Hen for the moment. And they're going for attacks on other sides as well. This is just very textbook in terms of trying to invade a POI. You want to make sure you cook these guys inside. As soon as you see one mistake, one little pop, you can then edit over, go in, and land those big shots.
You're seeing Chapix just inch closer and closer. One Greg taking a wall here. This building is going to only hold for so long, and they're trying to make sure that they do not get away. It looks like they're going to go ahead and disengage, understanding that it's not worth it, as Wolfies does get a knock on Knight there. Vortex get Marine. The battles will still continue, but this is what we've seen there in this strategy here, Shayo. They love to go here to this flopper island, make sure they re-get all the resources, hit the fishing spots, but what I'm seeing is just a maturity in terms of engagement. They're not going to go ahead and just sit there and waste all their time. They understand that time is a factor here, and the best part about it, they pulled zone. So they say, okay, fine, we could go ahead, we could retreat, we could get all our necessary loot and go back into the fight. And look at this zone. It's going to heavily favor Craig Eclipse for a moment. And of course, Wolfie down in Corn Complex, that's going to be huge considering that they're dead center.
Has to be huge to win that fight for Wolfies, you're right. And this fight that we're watching right now with Chapix, it's so smart that they dived into Stealthy, had that type of fight go down, and just left those guys there, because now they have complete control of that flopper island. Usually you'd see teams go to the island first, right, and then hit the spot for the fight, but this is so smart to just gain control of the entire north side of the map. They know Steamy is fighting too, so that, you know, Base Hill, that's where the right side of a crag you see on the map, is also free to have. They're so split right now, just relooting half the island, which is huge. But while they're having peaceful pastures over here for Reason, Tayson, and Vino, they're just going completely online, pushing one of the back forward fights towards Believer Beach. On the side, it'll be Yusef, who's under scrutiny by Reason's Pump.
This is the team that lands on Fort Crumpet, and anytime you land on Fort Crumpet, you always have to have tabs on teams landing at Believer Beach, because you will be part of that Storm Surge plan. And Reason, Tayson, and Vino using the truck to cut them off in the rotation to get their tags. So another disengagement from a top team.
Yeah, and this is not something you see regularly. It's only really possible when that zone pulls north. A lot of the times this Fort Crumpet team, the house team on the left, they can just get away with things because Believer Beach needs to rotate fast to go south or fast to go towards Dirty. Even when they get zone, it's all good for both teams, but when it pulls north is when, you know, Tayson can actually push this advantage.
You're seeing Twos make a rotation towards Weeping, and they get a knock and elimination on Bad Sniper. That's a trio landing there. So you're seeing the teams from down south are now making their move as well here. Still on board now, just seeing that fight that we just saw in the Elim feed. Two Stormy and Kiriachi here. No, we will see if did they disengage from Mitro. I haven't seen Mitro yet back into the feed here, but right now, Kiriachi, Twos, and Stormy disengaging really on this close to the aftermath here. They're gonna have to wrap this up quickly, considering that a lot of people are gonna come their way through on the rotate.
Just 6 points for them too, from a spot where we see another team in second overall. I mean, that's got to be a little bit sour after game one, but there's still 5 games to make up the difference. There's still a lot of teams to bully on the way through. It'll be fine for Kiriachi for now. It's just about making it off that drop, trying to adapt to Mitro, the man who will stay in zone for 5 different circles to make sure he wins the spot. I mean, that's absurd.
The absurdity continues here. This is game 2 of the FNCS Chapter 2 Season 7. This is the first week, though. Qualifiers top 3 get in if you're just tuning in. So that we're going to keep tabs on everything. So that is what's so exciting, because the top 3 go all the way to the finals. And we've seen some great action so far in the EU region. Literally, we saw in the FNCS All-Stars 1 versus 2 coming to the final shot, the final moment. In Season 5, we saw it come down to the final moments where a team was able to win it all with Janice's trio. And of course, in Season 6, there's a 2-horse race when it comes to Andretta and Queasy's trio going at it in that final frame.
Right now, a few more horses inside these boxes, and they can't really be kept in the stable for too long. Getting restless here is Toos, who's making moves towards Skyzoo. Trapped in Shaco's box, a big jump up, but then goes right back down for the replays. Doesn't actually hit the right side pump. He's in a 2v1, and he's surviving. Kiriachi's there to help him out. They actually get the big reversal off the Shaco's. What an elimination. That was a huge wrap up, and now Skyzoo is left by himself.
They're putting up a great fight considering that they lost Bad Sniper early on. They're trying to pinch him. It's going to be a matter of moments before they get this final trio out. But this time, there it is. That was a lot of time taken, and that allowed 2 trios to sneak up into their storm line. So we're seeing that too. Kiriachi and Storm and Right finally getting out of Slurpee Swamp here, be able to get a full trio wipe. And now they're going to be able to, maybe we see them again in the end game. We saw them last season. They were very dominant in their qualifiers and their heats. But, you know, when it came to those finals, they were just middle of the pack performance.
This is one of the times to still stay inside the business of not being middle of the pack, of being the pop-off boys. Potential for CRR, Mitro, and X8 as well is huge with the pads. It's huge with just staying low. CRR with that purple pump too. I mean, I have to assume Mitro has one then. Every time I see Mitro's teammates have a purple pump, he's the one asking for it, complaining for it, getting it dropped to him. So they have to have 2 at minimum if anyone else has one too.
Now we're seeing everything kind of calm down for a brief moment as everyone's trying to figure out. It was actually Kiriachi's team last season came in 6th place. They were having a phenomenal day 1, and then they slowed down in day 2. That really hurt their ride up to getting into that top 3. CRR Mitro X8. The surprise currently coming into this match in 2nd place. Now we're going into the calmness of that area, into the battle here for the movie projector screen. Wakey Kinzel eye drop. This is a very popular spot for Storm Surge, and Savid was able to get on top of that. And I don't know, this is a day that Wakey and Kinzel and eye drop, this is literally a metaphor to what's happening. It is not fine, because so far they only have 5 placement points to show for their performance today. And considering that they're one of the teams that have been stuck together, if this continues on, Shayo, no doubt they will have questions going forward whether they should stick together for Qualifier 2.
This trio for Wakey, iDrop, Kinzel, it just feels like every time they're in positions, they're at the consequences of other teams' friction. Like if 2 teams are shooting each other, somehow they're always just caught in the middle, or they become the second focus of both teams' beef. And as a result, this time, yeah, it's absolutely not fine. Get the dog off the table and take the top hat off of him too right now, because from what I'm looking at, you know, iDrop getting down that early, the reboot card is still left a little bit higher, and there's no buses in sight to really pick up your 3rd teammate back up. This is just rough overall.
Definitely getting up here as Astros normally with Hard Find. Rifla and Savid normally do duo up, partner up in trios as well. So that is going to be the long-standing duo there, and Astro joining in the fun. But when, you know, we are going to remember Savid with the Stinky Fish play out there in the reboot round. You know, Savid has always been that kind of guy that everyone's root for, is trying to get in. And so far, he's found a duo, a trio that might be able to get him into the finals today. But this is the story that we're all following right now closely. It's Mitro, X8, and CRR, an aggressive team right now in a box fighting situation here with Splash the Trio, Mawaka right above them. But this is where it gets scary here. Zone 3, Zone 4 is all the way, Zone 3 is literally way up there. We got a minute to rotate, and there's about 4 trios, maybe 5 if you're counting that pink one, in this fight. This is not going to be good for everybody. You got to start moving. One of y'all going to have to start moving, and that's where it's going to get dangerous there, Shayo.
Very, very, but at the same time, everyone's kind of looking towards getting to the circle. Majority of teams are, you know, just lost to the sauce right now. They're not all the way in.
What kind of rotation is Benji on right now? We saw them at the dish way over there at the Cami split. They dead side rotated all the way north. And I don't know, Benji must really love Pleasant Park because here he is. He's out in the distance. He misses it. I mean, we all go back to season 4, but this is going to be a same thing. The south side, we saw that congestion point. It's going to be the same thing for the north because there's about 4 trios we're going to have to start moving. It's not going to be as much as a rotation as the teams in the south here, but still with Hengenis and Chapix, with their aim and their beams and their ability to be aggressive, anytime they get a knock here, that's still a dangerous trio sitting up there looking for some more eliminations.
Movement will actually go through now across the map. Fast Roki, Void, Karma. A new concoction we're looking at the start of this season. First, making a few mistakes.
Happens.
It's all good. It happens. It happens.
It happens.
Can't be from Raptors this season now, right? It can't be from things going on, so you can only blame yourself.
Maybe his shoelaces were untied. I mean, fall damage is always going to be the thing that always shows up. Can't get rid of that. But what you can say right now is that it's so interesting to see Mitro in doing well today, and I just hope that he has enough gas in the tank because he is a premium car that needs supreme level gas here to keep going. And that's the thing, like, what's going to happen? How are they going to react? What's their mental going to be when they hit their first roadblock? And so far, I think they did really well considering that they did disengage from that Kirachi fight, understanding that anytime a Slurpee Swamp team ends up fighting there, they just end up fighting that the entire rotation. So right now, some maturity there in their work as well.
Yeah, they have, you know, their archetypes, weaknesses that are very obvious to go through. One that's not really, and needs a little bit of explanation, is the one on screen, Tripper and Hadi Elocrats. These guys endgame are very good at like mimicking or shadowing a high ground trio and staying low beneath them, you know, utilizing their pressure, utilizing their pathways, and just paving a way forward where they know they don't get pressured. They tried to basically shadow Aqua last game, but we saw what happened, right? Kind of a wrong guess on who has height entirely, kind of an unfortunate way of to where Zone went. And as a result, they also end up crumbling at the same time kind of when Aqua did. So maybe this game they have a better chance, a better position to roll with, and a better trio to kind of shadow who's on height. And as I mentioned, Aqua, right back to brass tacks. I mean, they are still in a similar spot.
This is the thing, though, this season with those launch pads, I mean, how are they going to be able to hold on to it? We already saw that they went for it, but with the great use of a launch pad, Chapka's trio was able to take it away from it. It did pull away from both of the trios, but that launch pad play basically overtook Aqua's trio. So that's the key factor here. It's not longer guaranteed. I already talked about the stats for the previous seasons where like you get like 60% chance of winning if you hold on to a certain zone 5, but literally we took that, threw it up, put it in a waste paper basket because now that launch pad is here just to show you that anything can happen. The chaos on high ground, we have to keep tabs on as the entire show progresses because it's that high ground factor is going to be seen getting so many eliminations, considering that the low ground, as we always know, gets elimination. But so far, when you have a trio like Ken, and you have a trio like Aqua, they have the ability to rack up so many elims on that high ground position.
This has got to be slightly uncontested when you have Hengenis and Chapix in the mix, in the business. That's where things just get really, really tough. And yeah, you're right. You saw it last game. It might happen this one again. Still, they were one of the trios that got a lot of their eliminations just, you know, punishing, dictating how people can move right below them. And they literally have the most central spot for height possible right now for this big overall zone, for the safe zone in between. They might have to move a little bit slightly. X8, Mitro, and CRR, they're making a sneaky push right below them. They don't get seen. This is huge. This is free, 0 mats, 0 investment, and they're almost all the way through.
I'm surprised they're 77 below Storm Surge. How much is Mitro itching to take on this? But they're going to go ahead and let Aqua's trio go ahead and make this rotation early, and they're just going to recycle their entire thing and understanding that they're going to rely on that as Deceptos picks a nice elimination from a distance right here. Can Clement, Floking, Deceptos start going? They had 27 points here today, but that could be actually, that was a Siphon cleanup that we saw here. But Deceptos, who's one of the best fighters in the region as well, and maybe this is their time for Clement, Floking, Deceptos, who are literally side by side in the same room. So the communication is going to be there, and right now, I can't imagine what it feels like to be in that situation. It's like a little taste of land for those boys.
They have the synergy. They got the same ping too. We'll see if it's possible for them to utilize. They played very, very well yesterday. It's climbing all the way towards the tops of the ranks in round 3, and we'll see if they can mimic it. It was just game 1 with a little bit of a flop, but you can always also bring it back in the next 5. A little bit of an irregular zone last game. This time, everything looks as per usual. And for this team, I'm sorry to say, it looks like the usual system too. Storm Surge sacrificed basically every single game. One teammate's down for some reason. The rotation is tough. Maybe Holly Hatchery just isn't the best spot. Maybe it's cursed for the moment. Wakey going down to the surge will not be able to be revived, and Kinzel will be left by himself.
Mitro and CRR were eliminated there in the rotation. We saw that they were below Storm Surge, so no doubt they had to be a little bit aggressive. Reason there was the guy that sent them out of this lobby. Kinzel, the two-time DreamHack champion here, is going to have to do it as a solo. And we all know, folks, if this is your first time watching competitive play, any placement point that he gets, any elimination that he gets is going to be high value, but they definitely have to step up. And a nice tag there. Stormy getting a little bit of a hit right there from Kinzel's sniper play. Kinzel not going down without a fight, even though he's going to get close to knocked out. But look at who's at height. Marine Wolfies and Milan are looking really good right now, considering they have that position. But Kinzel is going to have a lot of work to do. Only 38 builds and not a strong loadout to be aggressive. As the high ground right there gets contested, Milan gets eliminated.
That'll be the deal all the way up there as the chaos rolls through. Kinzel will find a new base. They just kind of prep up as he walks in. It's all just wood builds, so unfortunately, Trippern is finding another elimination. Should be somewhere where near Aqua is, but at a completely different layer overall. We'll see where Zone locks in as well. In a matter of 2 seconds, what kind of game are we going to be watching today? Kinzel taken out. Tayson's waiting too. We'll go a little bit more north. That's a big move for the majority of the server, including high ground. Once again, we're basically resetting every single position that we see on the map.
Now it's in a moment here how we're going to make this rotation. You see everybody has launch pads. You could definitely recycle a launch pad as well. We've been seeing doing double launch pad. You've seen Splash on the bottom right of your screen. They may be thinking about going for a walk, but they're waiting here for a moment. They're going to take a breather here, make sure they're fully shielded up. And it looks like they may go for a launch here shortly here. It's going to set up a short pad, but they were getting beaten. They took too long. Now Tayson is able to glide on through, and you talked about the majority of the server. Here they come. They're all gliding in, flying in as Vidil picks up a knock on two. So that team that's sitting on high ground, and it is Benji up there. Did he get Giannis? Yes, he does. Giannis goes down, and it's Shadow and Joe and Benji colliding with Hen's trio. And now you're seeing on the right side, you're seeing Noah Riley going for height, but Benji for the moment is holding on to height. Can this be the game where Benji wins, but he gets chopped? Everybody gets chopped. Benji gets knocked, Shadow goes down, and Wolfies is gliding. Was that Chapix? I believe that was Chapix's trio on the backside. No, that was Aqua lighting up the feed with a great chop.
That might be the most amount of chop eliminations we've seen. A break from high ground, a crumbling of the server, a resurgence of Aqua all the way on height. You can't take the king away from his throne. Chapix, though, he's not going to be one to have none of a bone to pick with this high ground team. He's not stopping all the way from going to the sky. I mean, we just saw a wolf grow wings. How high will he be able to soar for the rest of this game? We'll watch how Chapix and Hen do this. Layer by layer, base to base in the mid ground. Elocrass and Hottie going down all the way towards the bottom side of the server. Milwaukee picks them up. Nikov also not being able to survive. Remix takes out Kiriachi as we watch these guys just operate on their layer. But look at the difference from game 1 to game 2, Sancho. This time we have a large cylinder of bases to look at from top down, from below all the way up to high ground. This is a huge game to watch.
You're seeing Aqua tarp out in the lead right there. Vino, Tayson, and Reason are second from height. They have to be careful because last game, Tayson got beamed. You're seeing Vidil get another knock on Wolfie, so that Wolf who grew the wings just got clipped and he is out. Vox picks up an elimination on Save It. Tayson and Vino and Reason here, they have already been in the top 2, and they were the only one that were kind of slowing down that team of height from Hen, but another elimination got confirmed, so Wolf does get confirmed by Vidil right there, but this is it. It's going to go to the east just a little bit, but a lot of old builds are not going to be available. You're going to have to push out just a little bit more, but I'm thinking those boys on high shell, they have a lot of mats, and they're looking and they're being very comfortable right now. They do have to drop a little bit more layers, but this is going to be a really good game for Vidil's trio.
Meticulous for every single box. They're making sure that no one can take over their high ground. All these empty threatening bases are getting dismantled one by one, and so are these helmets on these players, or their heads in general, whatever they have on is getting beamed off by Vidil. You got to remember the combination of players that are there on height is just absolutely insane. And over here too on low as a duo, Hen and Chapik, Sancho, you cannot count them out.
Cannot count them out, especially with the slurp, the cannon right there. That slurp cannon is going to be able to hold on. That chug cannon is going to be very nicey for them to eat into storm if they have to. This is going to go back up north. It's going to go over a slight elevation. We have Reason and Vino on the front side, right in front of them there, about a box away. Ken Chapix, oh, Hen goes down, and down goes Chapix as well, as Vino and Reason were able to clean that up. As Tayson is still in the storm here, but Clement goes down. So now we know who the low ground is, but Noah Riley is here around here to create some business, because he's going to be that one to create as much disruption for the team on the low ground. But Vino, Reason, and Tayson are looking strong, especially with that chug cannon.
They're going to look to kind of disrupt and just wait for this 3v2 to roll in. Lots of different people going down, though, and Vino takes a big shot, has to use that chug cannon early. That might be dangerous. Squintley is making this absolutely taxing for this trio down below, but Vino lands a big shot, jump up on a Vidil. We'll have to take a little bit of moment to get the minis back. At the same time, Aqua's moving all the way on height, goes all the way forward to make a base for everyone else, but this time, he's the one who crumbles down. Down low, Vino, take it out in the blink of an eye. This trio hits the combo shots and wins the game.
13 eliminations at the Victory Royale, and we had a battle between GOATs. Let's go. Aqua getting a big knock on Tayson, but the trio, who is always on height, who has the high ground. Wow. You know what? The highlight. That chop, baby. That chop coming in, Shayo.
I want to see that in slow motion. I want to get a gif of it and put it on my chest. I mean, that was just the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life inside an endgame. So smart from Aqua, what we saw there towards the very end. But honestly, Sancho, these first two games, what else do we need to see? I mean, E was on fire today.
And we didn't pick them. We didn't pick them to do well. So, hey, I have explaining to do, and the analyst has some explaining to do as well. Let's kick it to the boys.
Aqua's back, baby! He's back! He never left! He just took a little extended vacation, and now he's back. He's like, yo, you might as well call me Mr. Lumberjack, because it's going to be chopping down the competition. Wow! I mean, look, we know that Vidil and O'Reilly are insanely talented at the game. And then you just throw Aqua in there, a duo champion, and you're just like, oh yeah, stuff like this just happens, Levin. It's just going to happen.
And that was personal for him when you think about it, right? Because he's up against Reason, Tayson, and Vino, right? And if you actually remember way back when Aqua originally played with Vidil and O'Reilly, it was Reason that was the one that stepped in instead of, Aqua, right? He was the one that was replaced. So, a bit of a personal battle there. Aqua's back. He is back with a bang. And I think the biggest thing is, look, yeah, nobody predicted them or whatever. That's not the important thing. The important thing is that, he has used this as an opportunity to show, like you just said, Z, he is here. It was an extended vacation, but the king is back.
Look, I like the GOAT versus GOAT call. I think a lot of people, because Aqua obviously hasn't been playing due to injuries, in particular tendonitis things, and other extenuating circumstances too, that people forget about him and forget how much of the GOAT he is. And when you put them on a team with Vidil and Noah Rayleigh at the same time, that's a recipe for success. And this was the one big pop-off game that we knew they'd had. Hopefully they can continue that as well.
Forget the final moments though, right? Because the final moments was crazy. That was one of the best height takes we've ever seen in an FNCS qualifier week, right? Take it back to when he single-handedly Aqua wiped out all of Benji Fish's trio, right? Like, that was a crazy endgame for them. A brilliant performance, all the less.
So insane. And coming into that second place was Tayson, right? I thought this might go Tayson's way, but bro, it was not. But still, this team is also on fire right now.
Look, they are. Let's just do a little bit how they claim low, right? They do the same thing this game. You can notice they're trying to cover every single angle. They've got the floors, they've got the cones, they've got every single wall that they could possibly have in this spot to try and claim every angle possible, right? This is moving into the final zone. You can see every single wall place. And then right at the same time, you see Aqua. Again, this was from game number 1, dropping down to low ground. He'd already popped off. Now Tayson's on this peak while Aqua's trying to spray in at this point, which is leaving him exposed. And at that moment, you can see exactly what ends up happening. He ends up hitting the big 148 shot, hits the reset. Now Aqua's stuck in the back of the storm with this wall in behind. Tayson's holding it at the same time. Just straight away. There you go. I was going to say he didn't even hit the shot, but he did. I thought he was going to miss the shot, but that's it, over one. He didn't even need to with the storm damage.
Yeah, and the biggest thing here, right, is that although this was great from them, right, although this is brilliant, the big problem that they had in this game at this stage was just the fact that when you actually look at it, they did a great job of controlling low. But look, there's still 8 players left in this game. they are missing Vino, right? Vino was actually taken out. And so it made it really awkward for them. It's like, you know, you have players dropping down onto low ground in waves, but, you know, when you're only 2 players, eventually it becomes overwhelming. And so what you see here is he's looking above, he's looking at the people in the backside of the zone. He can't do it all, right? They needed that extra man. And in this next game that we just saw, they had that extra man run. Vino was there for them, and it allowed them to stay up way, way longer into that game. And it's the reason why they're sitting there in second place. But beyond that, look at that first place team right there. Aquano, Riley, and Vidil sitting in first place. Who would have thought? Not me, but nevertheless, we are here. And they're going to be looking to try and replicate that, because a victory royale for them this early on is a great confidence boost.
That too, with Hen, Janus, Chapik still up in third, playing a lot of that as a duo since they lost Janus relatively early in the moving zones. Look, if they stay together as a full trio, this top 3 could be completely solidified with some of the best players from EU.
It is so crazy. And just to throw a few numbers, we watched that first place right there, 13 elims. But the other game they had was a 5th place with 9 eliminations. So guys, they have that consistency factor, baby. As long as they can keep this up, they can make it a top 3. And in qualifier 1, Aqua's like massive comeback. He's just gonna be like, "What's up, baby? I'm already in finals. You guys better watch out. I've been away, but I'd like my crown. Thank you very much." It is absolutely insane. The action is continuing to heat up. For now, though, we got to go back in the game. We got Sancho West, we got Shy Wager. They're standing by. Let's do it once again.
3 king trios, right? 3 spots for finals, but Sancho, at the end of the day, there's only 1 crown, right? Up for grabs, that first place spot in the quals. You can go to any one of these 3, and they're all playing absolutely insane.
They want it. You know, it's, you know, there's so many different people approaches. How do you compete in these qualifiers ever since the change? But I think right now, Levin said it best. It's personal with these trios. You have former teammates going up against each other. You have GOATs of the past going up against GOATs of the present. This is what it's come down to. This is the beauty of the FNCS. And this is game 3 here of the first week. And Shyle already highlights galore. Can we get more? And we're about to see another 50-50 drop for floor loot.
I mean, roll with it. Clem and Deceptos, they're doing something right, but Floki's the one who's going to be taken down towards the left for now. 3v2, and Milwaukee, Splash, and Core are taking a little bit slow. Smart, and we saw them actually active in that last game, Sancho. They made it pretty deep inside the end game. Got a lot of low ground eliminations as well. I mean, from what I'm looking at right now, they've switched something up off drop for game number 2. I think it's just getting this first pick fast and then getting the mat advantage. You see all their pickaxes swinging there towards the basement of this house. It's very smart, and it's honestly giving them a huge advantage. Zipto and Clement, they have none. They have no mats.
They have no mats, and they're not in the top 5 of the leaderboard. As you see, that is the leaderboard that is developing right here after 2 games with Aqua's trio in first place. You have Tayson's in second here, but look at the feeding. X8's trio is really doing some big damage against Kirachi. Kirachi left to all by himself, but Kirachi beams Mitro. Mitro was going in, trying to rely on that bullseye skill, but CRR and X8 now are in full pursuit of Kirachi, and we have seen that fights end up here. It takes a little bit of time, but Kirachi is running out of options and ran out of time. Eliminated, and if I was like, who's fighting?
Hey.
Hey, but if X8, Mitro, and CRR get to that hot start like they did in game 1 and they ended up being in second place, you got to watch out for everybody else that's on top of the board.
SCRR is like one of the first in the EU to just help his team in general with these comebacks as like a solo, right? You know, picking his team back up as well, going for that VR once they're all the way down inside, you know, one of those larger lobbies, the final stages. It's, you know, Mitro's really good at starting these fights, being the damage, using that pump. X8's dope at, you know, holding down the pinch. But when it comes down to it, when it comes down to that clutch, you need someone in that seat for this trio. It's got to be CRR who's rolling in, right? Like, and making sure that there is some type of insurance if things end up, you know, slightly going wrong or if there's a little bit of friction. But the thing I like from this trio, the change from game 2 and the repetition from game 1, they are just full force fighting. They had a little bit of a disengagement last game, Sancho, and what happened, right? Storm Surge, 77 below, never got into a fight, never even, you know, tickled each other off spawn. So, you know, they fixed that mistake. It is risky, but hey, if you got Mitro, CRR on your team and you're X8, you're calling for that every single time.
Despite knowing that in-game is where you get most of your eliminations, just hit that bar right there. Despite knowing that in-game you get the most eliminations, you still have to get Storm Surge, as it looks like their reboot just happened. Nips is there trying to stop One Loss from getting resurrected for a moment here. Nikov able to pull that off here. So already we're in about the midpoint of this scrum, this little scrum that's happening here. But every time we come to these kind of steamy stacks kind of standoffs there, it's just no one benefits no matter what.
Yeah, it's just a very scrappy fight in general overall. It's just, it's sometimes what, like 3-4 reboots that end up rolling through. Wow, does those Clement actually go down in the feed? I mean, that was a given, no mats. And, every single house they were allowed to get into was already ransacked. The beds flipped over, closets are opened, robberies every single time. It's just a bunch of loot taken away that they can't get, and they can barely even farm. So it has to be a switch up for Misty Meadows right there. Meanwhile, Tayson, Reason, Vino, Believer Beach, everything looks as usual. It's just, the fifth zone that these guys are going to be really thinking about how to attack that end game.
And so far, what we're seeing from Tayson's trio is their in-game strategy is sticking to that low ground and mid ground. We always see him in the POV in the mid ground, and then they eventually drop to the low ground and take up all that. What a great breakdown by Levin and Reese, showing how you can control the low ground by using your materials, using your mats to cover all angles. But when you do that aggressive tarp like that, like a 3 or 4, you run out of mats eventually. And considering when you're down on the low ground only with wood to protect the top of your head, you eventually get beam, and Tayson was a victim of that when the high team was sending down the pressure. Here is zone 1. It's going to be another northern zone here. This is going to be another replicant from game 1 that we saw for a moment. Of course, we'll see where it ends up being on the in-game. And Shio, so far, we usually get coastal in-games, but right now we've seen a lot of centralized in-games in today's slate of matches.
Yeah, I talked to John Fortnite in the back, and we're keeping things towards the north, right? The script today is a very high script towards the upper portions of the map. EU starts off usually, near Caddy, near those mountains, and it gets crazy, but this actually just lets us really see exactly what these guys have in terms of a natural ground to play with.
And Tayson's trio is heading towards Claire's trio. We see it right there. The green arrow is going up against the yellow. And if I was Claire's trio, I got to go ahead and turn up the gas and get out of there quickly. But here's what we've been seeing. Benji has been picking on the retail road. This is a great rotation coming from the dish. And they so far have been successful as Joe gets elimination on Denimon. And now Benji's going to be able to be aggressive and push right in here. Can Benji get his first elimination in this match? And look at the pressure. The barrel stuffing through the wall. He's trying to get pushed in from his teammate. And there it is. Joe actually gets through from Benji's help here. Pavito is in trouble as Benji now is applying more pressure, trying to break through. Here comes Joe. No tags, but there it is. The elimination. And why, when you get a little taste of that and you understand that there's a team out there that you can bully and get those quick eliminations, you go for it. And here comes Mirza, the other retail row, trying to stand up for the brethren and say, not so fast, Benji. You can't do this to us retail row teams. We would not be part of your Storm Surge plan.
They think that they might get a discount here at retail on this fight because, fighting Pablito, Benji might have taken a little bit of damage. You look at all their health bars. No, it was just them literally firing shots the whole way through. It almost looked like Benji was shooting out Joe from his gun, the way he was just attached to these walls right where his bullets were going. So
yes,
there's no chance for Mirza to have any type of say on this fight. Benji has the height too, and inflatable all the way out.
Yeah, this is the first taste of a new item. We always love when Fortnite introduces a new item. This is the inflatable bull, and as you can see, it reminiscent to the ballers of the past. It just does not have that shield capability. One shot, and you automatically get taken out, and you do or succumb to fall damage. But right now, the fall from grace that's happening in front of our eyes. Another battle at Risky Reels, and this is not a movie that you want to watch. This is a scary movie for Kenzel Waking Eye Drop, considering that this slide continues. Marine Wolfies is knocking on the front door, and Eye Drop, you're not going to have any time to pop up any kind of heals because Marine Wolfies here are here to fight. Down goes Wakey, and it could be a matter of moments before Eye Drop gets taken out as well.
Before, they were just caught in their lines of sight and got affected by the fire and then went down. Now, Wolfies, takes matters into his own hands with Milan and Marine. They roll in. They pick up the eliminations. Eye Drop, last one left. That car has no HP. Take it to the repair shop. Honestly, take the strats for this team back to the repair shop as well. This is the third game we've watched where there's struggles. I mean, Eye Drop is making it a little bit less worth for their time, but they get the elim points to get a few of those siphon mats back. And man, just it has to be going back to the drawing board, right? Poly Hatchery, uncontested, rolling through, and then still making the mistake over here. Maybe they got to go a little bit more south, maybe towards Stealthy to get those search tags.
that game plan is about being centralized early, but every time they go early to that risky real spot, you see Wolfie's there to greet them. And sometimes Save It is there, as we see Save It is making that way in the rotation. Here comes the Fort Crumpet team making their rotation as well. It looks like Save It's teammate gets knocked here for a moment, and they're going to have to take a pit stop to get that res off, but that's just going to allow Tastons and Yusuf and Claire to be able to make their way through and get this clean rotation. Now we see Flash Roki, Huddy and Mini. So this will be out between Flash Roki's trio and Huddy and Mini. And Huddy and Mini's trio, they've been together for such a long time, and they always have a performance that's just about the middle of the board to the lower part of the board. But could this be Huddy and Mini's time, considering that they've been together for such a long time?
Yeah, kind of different from the other side, right? Fast Roki just joining up with Karma and Void. And, you know, Fast Roki's placements in general, with Void too, it's kind of middle of the pack and then up, right? But not always consistently all the way up. So two sides of the coin here in both personality types for the trios and placements. But at the same time, different flavors overall for both teams starting off this season. You got to try to make changes overall. Fast Roki always looking to, you know, pull a fast one on any one of these trios over and over again. Early aggressive fights, mid-game takeovers, tricking Height into feeling comfortable and then retaking it with Arden and Pizza. Used to be one of my favorite trios to watch, but we'll not be able to see the full combination this time around. This is brand new, and today we get to see in these back half games what these guys have to make a comeback and hopefully make it the top 3.
That team is in 17th place so far currently today. We'll keep an eye on that, like you mentioned, right there in the middle of the pack. Let's see what the new combinations, they could get up a little bit higher. But now we're seeing Tayson in a box fight against Swift Flash right now. And Felix King, you don't want to be in that part of the storm. You want to be on the other side, because here comes the pinch. As Reason's going to go through. Deathcap G in the backside here. This team is actually doing pretty decently as well. I've seen them in a couple of in-games, but right now they're going to go through the obstacle as Tayson, Reason, and Vino. And what this happens is they're just basically going to let this team continue to work through them. They're going to be forever storm holding this team to the end of time until they get them eliminated and out of the lobby. And there we go. We've been seeing this trio actually utilize vehicles very well in this matchups.
Yeah, usually for fights, especially like that, you can put it, you know, in a flash fire, turn the heat up to 9,000 and just get the meal cooked. Or you could have a slow burn, little sous vide, and make sure that everything is prepped inside and out. The storm doing more of the damage. You don't have to do the work and put yourself at risk. And you have the free elim to pick up at the end of the day.
This is Benji's trio in 8th place. It seems this is the theme as well, a secondary theme, as you see Benji taking the mook out, the instant inflatable ride. It just looks so funny seeing this big bull go for it. But yes, so this is another kind of the secondary theme in this entire FNCS. Teams just coming together last second. We did see Benji, Amplify, and Matzo come together. They were able to get a great finish, about a top 10 finish. I think it was maybe 5th place, but that honeymoon period, Shayo, was very short-lived. They came back the next season and just unable to get into the heat, unable to get anything going here. So maybe Benji's honeymoon period with Joe and Shadow, this is why they need that top 3. They get in, they could chill, they could vibe out, and they can prepare for the finals.
But just remember who they're facing today, right? We got Aqua's trio, Vino's rolling in with Tayson, 2 people who battled on solo low ground together all the way to the last game inside that All-Star Showdown, and now are just kind of, you know, on the same side rolling in together. I mean, it is just crazy to have that combination.
I hear you, but again, Benji was there at height, and if it wasn't for like a 200 IQ play from Aqua to chop that out, the tale may be different here. So now we're on board with some new faces as well. Lolito's trio here in 4th place currently, has never made it to an FNCS Trios final, so this could be that golden ticket that they're looking for, currently just outside of top 3, about, the math does me right, 18 points going into this match that they're down behind the 3rd place team of Hen's trio.
It's still very possible for them if they just stay consistent and Hen slip slightly, but we've seen it endgame. It's just been a spotlight on that top 3 game after game, and then they just switch hands in which position they're in right now. It's Aqua in the lead with the firmest handshake, but these guys have a pretty good base in the center of the map.
I would like to apologize. I'm no longer making predictions. Hi, Chris is still in 32nd. I thought he would be here in Corning Complex. I'm turning it in. Production, don't ask me for predictions anymore. I thought I was going to 200 IQ this whole thing. I thought Corning Complex, one of my favorite POIs. They're in Central. They're going to be doing good. They put up a good fight against him. They always slowed them down the previous season. And Vortex, you know, had a great play in the All-Star Showdown, taking out Tayson. I'm like, yes, he's a mechanical god. He's going to do well. But so far, not cashing in today. But that's okay. I'm vibing still, Shayo. I'm vibing.
You were going for the 2 wrongs make a right strategy, right? So
Yeah.
basically, next week is going to be another bad prediction, but that week 3, Sancho, you're going to clap back with the most insane prediction of all time.
Luckily, we have a break between the 2 weeks, so I could go ahead and rethink my strategy. But the strategy here for Tayson and Reason and Vino, we're seeing it. They are being that Stormholders, and now they get another trio to pick on there because it is Yusuf's trio who has made the same rotation. So you're seeing the Storm Surge plans pulling it off, Shai.
I'm looking at Vidil going down in the feed as well to Cisse. How did that happen? And it happened almost instantaneously. It's a fight that's going down between both teams, and I'm looking, I'm watching. I don't see where Noah Riley is. Okay, so he's still here. It's looking fine for now. But with Vidil down, it'll be Aqua Noah Riley. A beat I haven't really seen so far. Play as a duo together in a 2v3.
This is going to be dangerous. We've seen them being so consistent in the first 2 games, always making it to the end game here, but it is the danger side of the mid game, or you can take these fights unnecessarily and the third party can come in and all of a sudden now everyone's looking at you, shooting at your builds, and no matter what you can do, Vox gets a 26 tag. This is going to be sketchy here for a moment. Literally 22 HP and no build above. Wow. Can Aqua help out his teammate here? There he is. Going to try to get back to them, but this is what I don't like when it comes to mid-game fights, Shayo. This is what I don't like.
Think about the consequences of this too, right? This end game we're watching, it needs 3 people to be able to participate in for high ground. If these guys want to play the style they're playing, hold on to first, they would need Vidil back alive. That means this fight needs to finish in the next 20 seconds. They need to move over to Corny, get that reboot off, and then play the game undisturbed. That's not going to be possible. So I'm thinking now for the rest of this game, for the leaderboard, right? Tayson might be looking to overtake things. He's seen Vidil go down in the feed. Henja and his Chapix, they could also catch up too. But you've seen it and you called it out, Sancho. If one person just survives, right? We saw Kinzel try to do it last game. If these guys just live and don't play their God complex type wave in the end game, they could still hold on to first place.
In the inventory of Aqua, folks, is 5 peppers. And you know, now that they're down a man, they're like, oh, this would have been our match. This would have been our ability to get to height really quickly. But Cisse up on that scenic point there was most likely get the knock. Now we're still on board there. Yusuf there still eating Storm, still being held out by different trio. The pepper effect is real here, but the backside is going to be exposed to Yusuf. Aqua, there's some beams, some bullet tracers going down. Noah Riley goes down, so it's all up to the GOAT here of Aqua to try to get any points to keep up the pace. And remember, folks, it's top 3, and all of a sudden that pace is going on and you get tripped, and now you're in flight mode as much as possible. The elimination is there, confirmed out. Mawaka's trio right there benefiting from the shambles situation that Aqua's trio was in.
Now, Mawaka or Bushwalker is what I'm looking at right now. These guys pulled that strat down towards the very end, saw all the trios coming, set up a risky type of strat because they're still going to be moving in late, but it works out for them. And now the difference was 7 points between Aqua's trio, Tayson, Vino, and then Reason as well. So they just have to make that up. I mean, the placements will do it itself as long as they stay alive. So Aqua will have to climb back in game number 4 now. The question is, who will take that throne in game 3?
Now we're on board here with Mirza's trio, Frozen and Gogos, coming in 21st place here. Got a couple of people to make their rotation through Corny Complex. You're taking a look at the people that have to go through Void and Karma right above. We already talked about Fast Roki. I don't see Fast Roki. And there is Hen, Janice, and Chapix. Looking just chill from Craggy Cliffs. No doubt. Full yes. Look at the kits. Looking great.
So far away.
Pack. They're so far away, but I don't think they're concerned about that because no one's looking their way. We've seen this before in many FNCS where there's a team who's just chilling way far in the backside out of the scrum as you're seeing a team doing a dead side rotation, and they just pick the right opportunity to rotate in almost for free, and they just shoot at teams ahead of them and make them build for them. But let's see if these teams don't take that for a fact and turn and burn. But looks like Chapix is getting a free rotate. There's the inflated bull out there for a moment. It's going to bounce its way down, and Hen, Janice, and Chapix are looking good, but look at who's in their path, and that is Tayson's trio.
They'll have to overcome gods to reach even higher for now, but they might just stay still right beside each other. Neither team looking for height versus the ones who's going to be slightly higher. Hen will try to build up towards it, but will not be in supreme position.
If Aqua's trio is out, which they are, of course, that means Janice's trio is going to go for height, and there's not going to be anyone really strong to contest them. As you're doing, see Vino is getting knocked down below. That means that's going to, oh my goodness, Reason, Tasted, and Vino are out. They got eliminated. They were right below them just vibing, and all of a sudden they get down and out.
How was that even possible? What happened?
I have no idea.
To chill. You know, I was putting my socks on for this end game. I'm like, okay, let's get it ready. Nothing should really happen right now. Everyone's in zone. And wow, they pulled almost slightly beside it too. Podesite going down to Janice. They had zone. Both trios had zone, but somehow Reason fully deleted. I mean, wow.
I had notes. I'm like, Tayson has been on the low ground. He's been doing really well. He doesn't want to go for height, so he's cool with Janice is going, capping right on top of them, but all that got thrown out the window. As we've seen Tisa get a knock on box here, but you talked about it. They have height, and that other team on height did not get the shots and beams proper because they're in the world of hurt with Storm Surge raining down their heads.
Not even that. They don't have position. Janice, Chapix, and Hen, they've had favorable high ground spots to be in, but never actually were in the zone until this third game. So now we'll see exactly how they kind of operate off of that half and half. They don't have to move. They can just base up first and punish people. Meanwhile, though, on low ground, it's not going to be free for anyone else either. Mitro, X8, and CRR, they're waiting to just take beams on everyone flying in. Uncharacteristic of Mitro, he's missing a lot of shots on easy targets right in front of him. And as everyone gets to basically launch pad in for free as a result, a few people go down here or there. I see Jamzid, Dayzinho, apologies. Hera going down. A majority of the server survives. We have another 50-man endgame to watch.
And that means since Storm Surge was a factor here, of course, in that 50, the 30 is another number we're going to keep an eye on, and that will be revealed in Zone 7. Short explanation, Storm Surge penalizes the passive players. Does about 25 HP damage, so you have to dip into your heals or shields, shields to be able to hold on to that.
Now for game 3. In third place, Janice, Chapix, 10. The question is, how far can they go? They will overtake first place if they just play properly. But if they just pump that gas, they can overtake first and have a very sizable lead on the rest of EU after this game. They pull zone as well. They can stop Wolfies from pushing forward, but we saw this man grow wings before. We'll have to sprout them once again, but then overtake Janice as well to make sure he stays on height.
Looks like Chapix is going off. We saw them do this play in the first game here. They kind of extend, they kind of get ahead here, and they're going to keep an eye on the pad here. A short pad from there from Wolfies will literally get them right on top of Janice and Hen and Chapix. So they're on high alert here to make sure that doesn't happen. And if any knocks go either way, that team will have the advantage for height.
High ground standoff, but Wolfie's the first person, but a finger on the trigger. He's going straight for the shots down below on Janice. Lands huge ones, and Miranda Milana right there, but there's a big clap back on the Wolfies. He loses half his HP bar, and now it's a stalemate once again. Janice, Chapix, 10, they're forced to keep this mid-ground position. It will be Wolfies holding on to height for now.
That was a great play right there. Let's see if they could retake height. Benji's actually going for it, understanding that height was in shambles because Wolfie's got beamed here. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that situation as Mini gets an elimination of Milwaukee. Yes, Joe, Shadow, and Benji are now holding on to height, but look in the front side. It is Chapix, Hen, and Janice who can easily crank up here. Now Benji and Joe and Shadow, who their height executions have been a little bit of shaky in the previous rounds here. They have an opportunity to execute here and walk away with the victory royale and some crucial eliminations.
So smart from Shadow to push all the way forward and denied Chapix or Hen from moving up on this base. Down below, CRR Mitro, they will be playing this Viper Spit of a trap all the way on low ground. If anyone enters here, they just get shot over and over. Mitro is not even holding builds out right now. He's holding out that shotgun, waiting for the first shot. As all that happens, Marine goes down somewhere in the mid-ground. Karma's trio is also just frayed apart completely. Mitro's so low for this instance too, Sancho. He needs a siphon very soon, or things might be dangerous moving into these smaller circles.
They're moving through old builds and they might run into enemy builds here. So that is what's happening on the low ground. We're taking a peek again at height. Void going down on the backside. Kaijui on the front side in a great position on the low ground. Passa picks up a knock on Felix here. Hen picks up a knock on Milan here. But Mitron, X8, and CRR now switching up a layer here to find some room to breathe. But you nailed it. You're talking about 22 HP and shield 14 and white health. And this could be a matter of moments. But we all know Mitro could get that clutch pump to get that siphon that he needs to survive. But I'm not seeing Benji, Joe, and Shadow light up the feed for the moment. We need those eliminations for them, considering that the other trios at height were able to rack up double-digit elims.
The zone's still very big. They're letting the rest of the server cook for now. They are going back and forth, and Mitro unfortunately falls down to the labyrinth with CRR. They go down. No map for them to find exactly what the purpose was to stay down there. Unfortunately, they run into the wrong wall. They get taken out. As that happens, so many trios are side by side. Mini falls to Trippern as he moves through, but Trippern, we know, doesn't have many teammates alive. Janice, finally active, looking for shots. Hands on 1 HP. He needs the siphon. Blocks the shot from the left. Chappix is still in the business, and we watch the entire trio just go down in a matter of instants.
Diablo and Bay on the reboot kings, it feels like. Get those big eliminations on the big names here. But Benji, Joe, and Shadow, they're going to send down Shadow. So Shadow's going to go down below to cause a ruckus here, and he's going to get a knock and elimination. But here comes Benji as well. So it's Shadow and Benji here. Their job's to box fight and to create pressure and push people down low here. Let's see the win condition of height if they have enough heals as well here. But going across the old builds, like I mentioned, Shadow, it's going to hurt them a lot because they're not going to be able to find anybody, considering the low ground can survive just a little bit longer.
It's the 9th zone, and we still have almost 20 people alive as they're moving in. Shadow finds one. Benji gives this man a personal haircut box to box, and then finds Shadow once again. That pickaxe hits a little bit. The shotgun follows through slightly after.
Vortex.
He finally goes down. High Chris trades Vortex on the other side. Shadow picks them up again. I mean, Shadow and Joe, they're just popping off, taking out every single trio. Meanwhile, Benji's playing insurance. He drops down, and he gets another. All these 3 trio members are popping off.
What a clutch height hold from Joe to slow down High Chris's trio of Knight and Vortex there. I thought it was going to be over in shambles, but Joe, with some great play, was able to hold on. Benji going down, taking a deep dive into the low ground, survives. He's going for another deep dive again. Doesn't get any clean hits here, and Benji goes down, but I think he did the job that he needed to do to cause the distraction. But again, Joe is going to be able to, look, Joe is taking off. Joe has a chunk cannon. What do you see?
Sternexo has a little bit more HP. Shadow's down. Joe's out of chuck cannon splash ammo, and he goes away. It was Sternexo all the way on the backside. 2 floppers still left. The heal game to use as well, and 5 eliminations in total for the trio. That might be the slowest burn we've seen for a VR, but a smart one nonetheless. It'll be KKWT, Sternexo, and Purd to go in for that victory royale in game number 3. Sancho, that was a very, very different game.
I'm looking at it. Sorexo was in 11th place before that. Now getting the victory royale. No doubt we'll be able to move up the leaderboard. Anytime you're watching in-game, you've seen someone stop in their tracks, you know they have enough heals and floppers and all the sorts to be able to hold on. But Shayo still, Benji Fish's trio moving up the board there after that performance.
Yeah, the top side of the board went down so early, so I'm going to leave these unanswered questions to who's at the top at the desk. I mean, Zeke, give me some answers.
Hey, don't worry, we got all the answers for you here. Let's talk about that last game. So sometimes this happens, right? Like we look at Benjamin Fishy, the loadout was just shambles, right? 0 builds, and they get put in a situation where they kind of have to act. Now, a 2nd place is still fantastic, but when you're kind of backs against the wall, you really don't have many options. So Reese Levin, what did you guys observe coming out of those last few moments?
Well, I think the key thing in that match is the fact that you could be a Benji fan and you could be ecstatic at the fact that they were on height, they were in a position where it looked like they could win the game, and this is the first time that it really felt like that. The big problem is that it's not sustainable, Zeke, and you hit on a key fact there. It was shambles. You saw it on height there. They didn't have any utility. They didn't have any resources. And this is a big change from this season to last, where you don't have harpoons anymore, right? So you can't just see teams who sit on height, get eliminations and siphon the loot up. They can't do that. They have to be a bit more aggressive. The problem is that they looked a bit scared on height, right? You see in previous games, in previous tournaments where they've struggled on height. And so all of them are just sitting up there like, we don't want anyone to take it. We'll just stay up here. But you can't. One of you needs to get a bit more aggressive. One of you needs to be the one to put yourself in a position where you don't end up like that, where they are just so scuffed, shambles, and lose a game where really they should be winning.
Yeah, it should be winning. They did manage to pick up 11 eliminations all the way through, so not too bad for them at all. I'm not going to turn that down with a second too, but like you're saying, that could have been a victory royale in particular for the height. The height game coming out, definitely trying to apply pressure to the teams down below, in particular Zerhendo's team, who was on that ultimate low ground healing off. They have to try and get down there to disrupt that, and they just kind of failed to do that, which could have got them the win, but at the end of the day, it was still really close.
Yeah, 100%. Another trio we got to talk about. Aqua, his trio gets knocked out pretty early on. Reese, what happened?
Look, this was really, really early on. If you notice, right now we have the zone, the positioning that they're in, fully edge circle. Look at all the teams around them that are surrounding them too. They've also already lost Vidil at this point as well, so they're clearly not in a good spot to start things off. You can see an O'Reilly already instantly gets beamed just to box up in wood because he's had this really difficult fight already. The team start to spray behind because of this late scuffed rotate because of the fight that they were taking. Unfortunately, he is picked up, and you may think, hey, Aqua, he's going to clutch this up as a solo, but no, wait a minute. What do we see here? You must be careful. When he is 35 builds, you've got to say he could build a tarp in, but no. We have the Bush squad just sitting right next to him, sitting up, and you have to be careful. It doesn't matter if you're in a solo cash cup, if you're in arena, pubs, or FNCS round 4 for qualifier 1. There will be people hiding in the bush, and as you can see, he's with good HP, just gets tagged down to 23, then being on that congested edge of the storm. Unfortunately, the pressure is going to come out and consistently apply him, and unfortunately pick up our number 1 team.
Yeah, as you can see here now that things have settled, you can see in first place, Vamos Español, right? Kayuji sitting there in first place. And definitely a surprise first place. I don't think a lot of people would have expected to see them here, but some great performances over the past couple of games has put them here, right? They had a fourth, six eliminations and a third 9 eliminations, along with a 10th 6 eliminations. A great day for them, most definitely. If they're able to get one of these auto-call spots, what a weekend they've had. But sitting in second and third, 2 teams who we did expect to sort of see in this position and who are going to be looking to try and continue along in the next couple games.
Yeah, and because of that, now we have a 3-way tie, 4th all the way down to 6th on 90, or 3rd down to 5th. I can nearly count as well as the leaderboards can there on 95 points right now. Joe, Shadow, and Benji have kind of moved themselves all the way up into 4th with that big second. So we were saying it could have been a victorial, but clearly it's been very, very positive for them on the leaderboards.
Look, I'll say this because I know I'll get the people. I know you always get the people. Why you being a Benji hater? I'm not a Benji hater. Look, I love Benji, one of my favorite players. We all know this. How can you not love Benji? My point was that it's not sustainable. You look at the way they got that game. It was a brilliant game. Second 11 eliminations is a good game, but you want to be able to replicate that, right? The way they did that, it's just not sustainable. It's not replicatable, and so they're going to need to turn something around, change something if they want to have this performance over and over again.
Absolutely. Just need something in the back pocket, right? Whether that be setting one player down to get aggressive, bring some of that loot back, or just some kind of game plan because they can get W's. We see it happen. They just need to put themselves in that position. Okay, that was game 3. We're going into game 4. Sancho West, Shy Wager. Back over to you, boys.
All right. I see what Levin's talking about. I see what the desk is saying. Basically, you want to have the consistency available. And after game 3, Sancho, I feel like everyone's kind of had a mental reset to think about what to do going forward. Still right now, kind of a 4-way brace near the top, and Lolito, a new kind of up-and-comer inside the round 4, looking forward towards, FNCS finals. That's going to be a huge thing for them if they win throughout the day.
No doubt. We have to keep an eye on Lolito's rise with his trio, and they're coming out Lazy Lake, but Saban going out early. Rivla and Astro here way down into this dish area. This fight's being really extended way out here, and already Astro and Rifle were able to overcome all of that, and that was just a quick battle that just happened quickly. I do enjoy these new dish locations. They do have permanent pads there, so you could go ahead and be out here for a little bit, loot it properly, take advantage of the supply chest, and that just shows you how early that battle. That was a hot drop because we still have a trio of Hen, Janice, and Chapix just barely landing there in Craigie Cliffs.
They just touched down. They got a lot more conditioning to do over towards Stealthy and making sure that they have the entire side of that Flopper Island available to them as well. Elocrats will go down to Mirza, though, as this game starts. And once again, it's not going to be too action-packed at the very beginning. We'll see people, making adjustments. This is going to be the back half of games as well, from 4 to 6. We're playing slightly more careful, but at the same time, if you look at Slurpy Swamp, it's probably going to be super, super active near down there as well. As I say that, though, lots of people are going for that active route rather than the passive route. Shady, and what looks like C-State's trio are battling out towards the south side of the map.
Corning Complex is lighting up the feed at the moment here. You're seeing the Deepwood Dish lining up the feed as well. But here is our top 5. Surprise, Lolito, Horno, and Kaijui just in the lead by 2 points over Hen, Janice, and Chapix, which we see on the screen. Of course, we have Aqua's trio in 3rd place. And in 4th and 5th place, 4th we have Benji's trio, and 5th we have Tayson. So we still have an interesting race for that top 3 spot, considering that they're only just separating each other less than 10 points.
For them, tied overall as well, rolling in. That should be like the scariest thing. It's like, 4 cars or 3 cars, like on a quarter-mile race, just getting ready to go in this game.
I have to kind of expand what Levin was saying. For Benji's trio to do well, they have to go for height, correct? And when height is available, that means there's some factors that have to go into that. Aqua has to be down. You know, Tayson has to not be wanting to go for height. Hen, Janice, and Chapix have to be a little bit delayed. All those recipes are hard to replicate, you know, so you can't go like Benji's trio. Yeah, they're going to get height no matter what lobby that they're in. They're going to have some things go their way in order to make that happen. Those things went their way in that previous match, and they were able to at least get second place.
That just, you know, a lot of it just wasn't in their control. They did capitalize on a lot of it, but there was a little bit of that luck factor there, and they played it very, very well regardless. So they're trying to basically make that luck for themselves this game. That's what Levin was asking for. That's what you are expanding upon as well. Yep. Absolutely correct. So we'll see if it's possible, but you got to remember too, this is not the same Aqua from game 2, right? It's not going to be the same attitude type of Janice from game 2, game 3. These guys have learned. They're not going to make the same mistakes, and they're going to be slightly different coming in here as well.
Since we're in the back half of our games here, we've had northern zones here. Zone 1 is in the south side, so it's going to be interesting to see how the trios kind of work. Sometimes the board stays the same. We don't see anyone making huge movement when a new zone has been revealed, but now it's just different rotations have to come on through. Different engagements will kind of happen there. As you've seen, Vortex getting an elimination there on Wolfies. So maybe it may be the time for the High Chris trio to turn their luck. Possibly, but you know, right now everyone's aiming for top 3 all the way through. That's the only thing that'll really get you all the way towards finals. Still, it's good practice side by side to elevate from a position when you're behind. You don't get to have that opportunity every single time in every tournament. You don't even want to be in that spot. When you are there, you should try to get out of it, try to get towards the middle of the pack, try to get towards top 10. Speaking of the people inside the top 10, though, looking at Aqua's trio, the way they're playing this out, they are very, very committed to every position they find themselves in. You'll see, you know, on the other side of things, Hen, Janice, Chapix, they're kind of iffy, 50-50. They have widespread coverage and look for all the options wherever they are. When it comes to Aqua, as soon as they find a hill or they find a spot in 4th zone, they milk as much as possible out of it and hope that it's, you know, where height is. They'll have a launch pad to adjust, but every time they have to adjust, they never get to keep height. The moments, though, that zone does come to them, I mean, they win games. And just to give you guys an idea how valuable that top 3 is, last season in Chapter 2, Season 6, the first 3 that went through from the qualifiers was Nikov, Alpha, and Blaster, Nebs, Bubs, and Waze, and Jamside, Fury, and Dormentos. And we can't forget Jamside. They literally got in the last game, so don't go anywhere. Game 6, you're going to see someone sneaking into that top 3 and have a huge pop-off games, because we saw it in qualifiers 1 and 2 last season. Yeah, Qual 1s have some of the highest skill level in the lobby in general. You know, a lot of teams are still left to play overall inside the region, the top teams. And as a result, you'll see a lot happen there. Kaijui's trio still looking good, picking up some elims in the feed. They're not slowing down at all, Shayo. Kaijui's just like today, it surprised me with Lolito and Horno, especially all the way towards the end of the game. Like the way these guys are just operating, getting elims, surviving towards the end of that 9th zone. Sancho, there were like 20 different people alive, 15 different teams. That's a lot of placement you still have to be able to live through all the way towards the final circle in the game. And they did it. That's why they're in first place right now. In their game's history is the first game they got 10th place with 6 elims, 4th place in 6 elims, and 3rd place in 9 elims, like Levin highlighted. So you're seeing them, like there's always a team, Shayo, in every broadcast that's flying underneath the radar, that's doing the job done. We don't see them much on the broadcast feed until on the leaderboard. So let's see if we get some more action from Lolito's trio as we're still on board as Mitro as they prowl the Slurpy Swamps. They're talking about on the radar. That was definitely Mitro right there. These guys just get so many elims every game. We go, though, towards Lolito, defending that first place spot. Lots of different takes coming in from Huddy and Mini here towards the top. Camp Cod fight breaking out, and they actually have time for the first time inside the 6-game format to do it because the zone's near here to fight for, you know, the title of being the kings of the drop. Kayuji will look for a little bit of that beam before, but he has to be the man playing insurance for racks down below. These guys are so high towards the sky. It could be chopped down if things aren't connected properly, and that could be exactly what Huddy and Mini are kind of, you know, delaying for and distracting for here, but I doubt it. This is still, though,
such a abrasive fight. They're not really looking to tag each other as much. There's no committed beam rolling through or a retake. It's just a very, very weird sort of passive engagement.
So now we're getting our first taste of Hornos Trio, and Shio, maybe this could be the thing that, since it goes back to where they are, that kind of messes them up, considering that zone's here. Maybe their flow and rhythm was on those rotation eliminations, kind of making sure that they get those kind of storm holds. But now that you're in it, now that you're in the safe zone and you're having these build-ups, this is where things get kind of interesting here. This delay, look at so much has been invested into this. They only had 30 builds on one player, but look at the structure. It's no way it's gonna get chopped. It's held up by too much. Rax is gonna be down there looking for angles for those beams. And before you know it, those teams out there in Misty Meadows and maybe the team from Lazy Lake, if they want to get a little bit silly, they can make this rotation here. But regardless, fighting down here in Camp Cod, it's gonna take a while to get back up to full strength and your loadout and your materials.
This is just, I mean, there's nothing Lolito can really do from this position. He has to kind of commit to the fight. Disengaging anywhere for the moment. I mean, you're already late. We just saw a blue arrow checking on the fight, see what was going down and say, nah, we're leaving. Forget this. These guys are still going for it.
Could it be that they know they're on top of the board? They know that Huddy and Mini and Rax has been part of the Storm Surge plan, and now they need this, that maybe they don't want to go in a 50-50 box. They don't want to be too aggressive and then ultimately go out early. We saw the top teams in the previous match go out early. Lolito, even though he's been getting 10 plays to 16 limbs, doesn't want that.
He doesn't want that, but might be forced to completely. A different trio just comes flying in from the side. Lost Cizo, Dooku up top. And as a result, Lolito ends up launch padding out. His teammates aren't going to be able to find that pad fast enough, but I feel like they're already out. Yeah, they escape down the south. This is exactly what these guys needed. But Orno has no mats. He can't even get blocked too. They have to roll into the zone to get the safety because they used all the materials on this high ground. What a turn of events.
I can't believe that trio right there. Dids is coming from the weather station. So they understood. They saw over there that this team is still fighting, and Kaijui and Horno and Lolito there are in shambles, as you see Reason and Vino getting eliminations on Shaco's trio, and this is what we saw on the feed. Now we're going right into the action right now, but Vino, Tayson, and Reason are going to have some opportunities to move up the board if Lolito's trio can't find any way to be in the fighting stance, but Vino, who gets beamed and now has to disengage from that box fight.
Vino, you got way too many minis to get knocked down right now, my friend. You got to make sure you're going for trades and scraps in these fights. Maybe not all the all-ins, but one player does get, it looks like, almost fully eliminated. There's a free big pot down on the ground, a little bit of loot there as well. So Fat Sniper getting bullied for the moment. I just want to go back for a second, Sancho. I've never seen someone launch pad onto Camp Cod to take a fight in what, the second zone. Like,
yes.
I've never seen that ever in watching and playing any game of Fortnite.
That's why when it slipped out of my mouth, I was like, wait, that sounds silly. That sounds crazy. Who's going to come from Lazy Lake? Who's going to come from Caddy Corner into Camp Cod?
With a launch, you're using a launch pad for that. Like,
yeah,
actually insane, the south side. This is why it's dope when we keep these zones to the north, right? It's like upper class living. It's not these grimy fights you see all the way towards Camp Cod, Misty Meadows, Lazy Lake, but those are also tons of fun to watch. It gets very, very scrappy. And as a result, we see Bad Sniper's team still in this bully situation. Another one getting that full pickup as well.
That was Hottie Chirper's trio going down to Hen's trio. So we're seeing the adjustments. Last time they went to the other coast to pick on the Stealthy Stronghold, formerly known as Stealthy Stronghold team. Now they're going on to that Orchard Split on the Triple Houses to pick on those teams. So we're seeing their plans here. Normally Hen, Janice, and Chapix, who were last season, they were heavily contested. That was the Storm Surge plan because it was given to them from High Crisis trio. Now they're going to have to be a little bit more, on the roam, on the path, looking for those eliminations. But it seems like to me, the theme is Tayson, Reason, and Vino are like in the same rotations as Noah Riley's trios. Like, former trios think alike. They kind of have the same plan. And so far, they've been colliding on these rotations. And we have seen them go box to box for brief moments in these early to mid games action.
Everyone has to make those adjustments and try to adapt. Benji's got to force the cards right now into his own hands. It's going to be so difficult for him to be inside that win condition spot, but I feel like there's room in mid-ground for these guys to play with. There's lots of room to wait till maybe the 6th zone and then go for that height retake they've been pushing in the 6th, or wait till the 7th or 8th. My apologies. And instead of going in towards the 6th that they've been doing so far, If they want to go for the retake, maybe slightly later is the option. The guys who are trying to hold on to it for as long as possible, adapt to every single zone, and dictate the pace of play. That's Chapix, Hen, and Janus. They start with height, they condition height, they try to keep height. They have to try to stay alive so far. Stena coming in and actually taking out Chapix. That is so uncharacteristic. A bit come from him, but Janus will be there from the backside to play insurance and pick up that elimination as well. What are these launchpad plays out of nowhere from left field?
I mean, so, you know, when it comes down to Launchpad here, they comes out of nowhere as Aqua picks up a knock on Reason. But what ends up happening is you can't really hear it, and Chapix gets knocked quickly, but wow, Stena was out there just swinging haymakers left and right. And here it is. I talk about the box fights, and here it is. It's going down to it, child. A box fight between former teammates, and it's getting a little bit hectic. It's getting a little bit crazy here as Vino and Tayson and Reason are now on the back foot. They're in danger of being knocked out here. This will be a huge elimination. This would affect the leaderboard. Tayson's trying to disengage. He leaves Reason to the fodder there to get destroyed by teammates, and Bad Snipers are just watching here, but Splash and Mawaka and Koro are here as well.
Aqua doesn't want to wait till the 9th zone to take out Taste, and he's trying to do it into just basically at third. He's going straight for the square root of the problem right now. And Taste, he's getting taken out. Reason, he's the last one left alive. Was that Bad Sniper though that took him out, or was it Aqua's the question? Doesn't matter.
Bad Sniper,
that launch pad, yeah, that was the reason that it went down, and Reason can't do anything at all. Because from the backside, there's another trio looking at him, beaming. And they'll actually be, yes, Egram and Vox, the ones to take away all the loot from that invasion. That was
vultures, bro. I just love the green light that all these comp players have in Levin kind of hinted at that without the harpoon, you have to go out. You have to be aggressive to find loot piles, and they're going to be very valuable here. Now we're getting a taste of where we're going to have here. There's a lot of the lake available here in Lazy Lake. If it goes a little bit more south, it'll be more aquatic in game here. But this is Zone 4 is about to be revealed, and already so much aggressive action. Now, no doubt what ended up happening was Aqua's trio got a knock, and they launched Bad in to kind of clean up the pieces, and the rest of the lobby took out the rest of Tayson's trio right then and there. And hey, the deal, only one elimination in that scrum, but they got a big player out of this game already.
At that one elimination and taking out the trio, they forcibly break the tie they had in, what is it, the third place tie between one of the teams that's available right now. So Tayson, who was tied with these guys at 95 points, deleted, basically retreated back to the lobby, looking at exactly what is going to happen in games 5 and 6. For game 4, though, it'll be Aqua who's doing the most on the map for the moment. And Metro CR X8 also alive. Central zone. This will basically promise them very good low ground positions all the way to 5th. We'll see how they play. Janus and Chapix move. I have to imagine Hen has already tarped their way all the way in. Yes, they got a lot of umbrellas to block the rain of bullets coming in from anyone on high ground right now for this rotation. And they just lock in and have to go so much further, Sancho, through Lazy Lake to 6 different trios, one of them on their box.
Potasai one loss right there. Potasai getting knocked. So much pressure from Chapix, Hen, and Janus here. They work really well on the low ground as a trio. They don't fight separately. The only times you may find a chink in their armor is when things get too chaotic. They sometimes play solo at in-game, but in the mid-game, they tend to stick together very well. And you talked about they had to go through Lazy Lake, but Mitro, who is sitting in center, last game, Shayo, I thought they do really well. They had low ground. I mean, X8 had so many eliminations in the previous match, and I thought they would have a great position, but they just got knocked out very early in the in-game moments here. But Janus, Hen, and Chapix here, who are used to these kinds of rotations, considering that so many times in the FNCS, they had southern zones, and now they're going to make their way through. Is like about 3 or 4 more trios that to work on their way through.
Yeah, these guys are usually just sleeping the whole way through towards the end game. It feels like Stena rolled in and was kind of like their alarm clock woke them up really fast, especially Chapix at least, who got knocked. And then as a result, they were ready for Potasai. They're ready for anyone else who was coming through. Shout out to Stena, man. Thank you for keeping this team alive.
Yeah, you know, most Fortnite pros waking up on time is pretty difficult for them to do. I totally understand that, no doubt.
Past that too, we saw Serenexo win that last game off of heals, off of position. A lot of the times, it's more passive heal-based teams.
They got me again.
You gotta give it that 1 second off that storm surge. But yeah, a lot of these passive teams, they thrive when people like Aqua aren't in the game. When these punishers on height, you know, aren't testing them in their bases, aren't spamming their roofs. If you have a high team like Benji from last game, you can get away with being Serenexo with floppers and winning the game at the 9th zone, just eating them over and over. With Aqua alive, with Noah Riley now on heights, you know, look at Versa. He's barely even able to survive. And this isn't even, you know, the 5th zone yet. They're punishing people right beside them for being too quiet. They're making sure their position is heard. And as a result, they're almost smoking out eliminations here. And they have a much bigger base to work with.
Yeah, they're definitely doing their work early. They're essentially doing the homework after it's been assigned. They're one of those kids that all of a sudden they're getting the straight A's right now. What an unbelievable performance for Aqua, but there still is time to go here. We talked about the other teams that may be taking advantage. We just saw a brief moment of Benji here, but Janice and Chapix in hand. The rotation has been too strong here. They're in a log jam situation. So many trios above and below them on all sides. You talk about a 360 mount of terror that's happening here. They do have a chug cannon that could just give him a moment to breathe, but the lobby is not going to let them. They're beaming on through, and literally Chapix is one breath away from getting eliminated, and this is going to be rather a moment here. The knock is on. It's actually the deal gets knocked by Versa, and Hen is barely holding on. 1 HP, and he's gone, but still great game. 7 eliminations. They'd be able to keep up pace, but there is the rest of the Vultures looking for more loot, considering that they were easily getting eliminations. But look at this, a shambles situations for Aqua Trio.
How did 2 people go down? I just watched 12 rifles versus 2 men, and that has to be a record for Janice and Chapix to be able to survive that long with it. But regardless, these guys going down in the game at the same time Janice does, it's just like game 3, Sancho. And now once again, 2 god trios out of the competition once more. Benji Fishy's looking for height another time, and might have peppers, might have a lot to work with, and no one in his sights to stop him.
There is one trio that is happy about the situation. It's Benji's trio. The last time they capitalized on it, and let's see if they could do it. Now we have a look on the #1 spot on the bottom right of your screen. 3 eliminations with 119 points here. And look at the zone. It's about a good chunk of it, about 25% in the water. And if it goes any more east here, we've seen it here in the FNCS stage, it gets way chaotic. Lolito setting up a pad here. Most likely will pad out to any type of front side of the storm here as soon as it's revealed, and that's going to go down in about 3 seconds.
With Aqua not in a power spot anymore, with height kind of up for grabs, every single person should be able to pad really efficiently. Lolito in the lead, 104 points right now. Janice behind him is now out of the running. Just ended up going down a few zones ago. They can really push this lead very far. They've landed in top 10 every single game so far on the day, but our focus will be on Aqua to see if he can make it out of this shambles situation.
Aqua is in 3rd place right now. This trio still alive. We saw a little bit of a taste of the mechanics from Aqua here. We have the #1 spot still here. Benji in 4th place is still alive. 5th place, Vino is out. And you have our previous winner, Sorenzo, in. But look at that high. Pablito is there. But we have been seeing Benji Fishy being the nemesis for Pablito's trio.
Lolito moves in. Fortnite taking a lot of damage so far moving through, but they found a little bit of an empty base. Walk all the way forward. Match low for Lolito as well. They have one more launch pad to use toward the ends of this game, but every time they're in the sky, if they don't have shields, they're going to be very, very weak and could get beamed out. Benji, though, all the way on height, fighting Pablito once again, but they're actually forced to give it up all the way down. And now they're in mid-ground. They're in trouble, but they have a lot of mats. They have good loot as well to be able to just play this game out and take it slow.
There we go, focusing on the layer below, beaming box, and then getting a knock. Yes, you're right there. They decided not to push height, understanding that they could go ahead and get for it later, considering that they still have a pad. The zone is going to go back towards Lazy Lake here. It is zone 7 being revealed, and Benji has an opportunity to move up the board. Some great tarping by Benji, and look at it, Sayo. They're just itching to get up on height. They want it, and they're just looking for the prime opportunity as you're seeing Aqua and Noah Riley glide on through, and you're going to take a look here. I'm looking for 4th place. No, Lolito get eliminated. So 1st place maybe out by Kaidrui is still up, and he's still on his feet holding on, maybe as a solo.
I think that Aqua, Noah Riley, and even Vidil's 1 elimination here might actually make up the difference that they were so far behind of 1st place. This could be the trio in 1st place for the moment right now, and they're only getting more eliminations. Just saw Aqua take out AR Baffo. Noah Riley get eliminations as well, and now they're fully good on HP, and they're moving forward. Pablito still having control of high ground, but this entire zone is forcing everyone closer, closer, and closer. CRR is actually conditioning his own community down below with Mitro, and they're having a huge fight, but here goes Aqua, straight for height. He misses for the first time. Noah Riley might have landed in the best place possible. No, they find each other without even communicating side by side, and they force a big height take towards the skies. Is this another chop I'm looking at from Aqua? I think Benji knows exactly what might go down. Joe's forced down below. Might have to see everyone else follow to and fro, but nothing happens just yet. No one is eliminated for this crazy height fight.
CRR in the down low has been eliminated, so no doubt Mitro's trio may be out, considering they had no shields last time we saw a peek of them. But we are watching Benji here, and Benji is doing all he can. 70 HP, Joe and Shadow there to be able to give him some moments to breathe. Kinzo and iDrop are finally getting off the mat and making it to in-game as Mitro has finally been eliminated. But we're watching here, Benji here in front of the zone here, looking second from height here, has a pad available, so if he wants it, he can take it. But Pablito has not only survived Aqua's retakes, but done such a great job surviving it. But now Aqua says enough is enough. I'm here to take it height. This is my name, my guy. Always on height and getting elimination and a knock on Danny. This is a duo taking height, Shio.
Third time's the charm for Aqua. Noah Riley had 5 HP with 100 shield, and now he's looking very healthy. 2 people taking on all of EU inside game number 4, and they're looking so darn good doing it. And just watch as these guys just work the entire rest of the server at Lazy Lake. This low ground will become unnatural, hard to have a footing on. As a result, they'll find free beams over and over. Look at all the builds, Sancho. Wood, easy to shoot through. Noah Riley actually goes down with Aqua to go for a few fights, but it's just a mini trip. They stay up. Splash, he's feeling the pressure, goes up against Coco. He goes down. Egram, he gets beamed out. These guys have lasers over on high ground, and they're finding their targets with pinpoint precision, dropping down towards the end. There's no one left to really take him out. One edit will be it, and another shot, another win. 9, no, 10 eliminations for this God trio, who 100% takes first place in game number 4.
Oh my goodness, Aqua, you are a beast. Alongside, it was a duo run there, Shio. I can't believe the confidence. You said 3 times, they were like, they just keep coming back. They knew. When they mean always on height. It's not like sometimes on height. We're always on height, baby, Shio.
Hey, honestly, you can stop Aqua once. You could try to stop him twice. 3 times, I'm not sure if EU is ready for that. I want to see if the desk is ready too. I mean, Zeke, Levin, Reese, that was just insane.
Hey, Aqua's back, baby. What did I say? Yes, yes. This is what I love to see. Aqua, it's great to have you back, my friend. I've missed you so much, and I'm sure these guys have as well. You know what, friends? I feel like our cast is so well. Once Aqua gets going, it's so difficult to stop him.
Like, it's the most insane thing, genuinely. Like, I'm not kidding. Aqua and Zayt need to come together and write a book once Aqua's done. And the title of the book is always on height. It has to be, right? Because I genuinely don't understand. Like, that has been his philosophy since his ascension to the top. It's all about high ground, and he's kept it meta to meta, season to season. It doesn't matter what's in the game, who's in the game, where in the game. He will just look for height, and he makes it work. And I think to see him be in a position where they look like now they could be one of the dominant teams of the season, I'm just fingers crossed that it stays like this. I hope this isn't a honeymoon period. I hope, this isn't a 1-week wonder, because, these guys are the real deal, it looks like.
They are, absolutely. And, I was saying just before that I started analyzing this game, Chapter 2, Season 2 in the Duo season, when Aqua was definitely extremely good still, but near the end of what would consider his complete peak so far. So for me, as a guy analyzing the game, I never got to see him at his best. Right now, we are experiencing that in the flesh, and I think that's probably going to continue on throughout whatever stages they get to later on, if they make it to the finals or the semi-finals. This is an absolute treat, but we also, we can't just say Aqua, because this is not, it's a trios, right? We've got No Rayleigh, we have Vadil who there too, who are absolutely putting on a show with him. This is definitely not a solo event, but we're all hyped for the return of Aqua, let's be real.
Definitely, dude. This is the top 3 trio if I've ever seen it. And speaking of top 3 trios, we got to take a look at the top 3 trios who are performing exceptionally well here, especially the first half of the competition. Tayson, Vino, and Reason, they looking good.
Yeah, these guys have been great. These guys have been great. Of course, we're not gonna actually get to see it, but regardless, you can take my word for it, right? You guys can trust me. These guys have been brilliant today, and I think the key for them is that, you know, we talked about at the top of the show. This has to be a week where they do well, right? Because they'll probably want to quote. They don't want to have to deal with the potential issues Believer Beach will have to deal with in the next couple of weeks. And so hopefully in these sort of final games, they do actually, you know, sort of get an opportunity to push themselves and solidify themselves in that top 3. Hopefully we can see the standings now and get an idea of who's posturing themselves to get there, because it's going to be a rocky road in these last couple of games. Of course, in first place, the one and only Aqua, Vidil, Noah Riley. And look, you know, like you said, Reece, you made a perfect point. It's not like he has, you know, just 2, you know, bums with him. You know, he has 2 top players, right? Most people would say that Noah Riley is the best mechanical player in the world, right? He has, you know, the perfect tools around him to, you know, have a championship winning squad. And so this is a great performance.
This is a great performance, and this is why they're obviously so many points ahead of right now. You know, we see the huge gap that they've got, 2 victory royales so far, the amount of games we've had. This has been an impressive run, but let's be real, it's not only just impressive them. We have Hen, Janice, Chapix, Joe, Benji, Shadow as well. As long as the Spanish team, which I'm sure the Spanish boys are going to be a big fan of them underneath, all super close. Remember, top 3 is what's really, really important right now, and it's so close on that top 3 boundary.
Yeah, this could be really good. Really, really good for Joe, Benji, and Shadow if they're able to sneak in and secure themselves a spot in that finals. You can see them here, right, over at Retail Row, putting in work. Shadow and Joe, you know, you're all going to be familiar with Benji, but if you're not familiar with Shadow and Joe, obviously they played with Stompy last season, and they really impressed. They're one of my favorite teams to watch, Reece. I know they were definitely for you as well. And seemingly, you know, things are starting to look better for them with Benji.
Things are definitely starting to look for them really, really nicely right now. You know, they're definitely pulling things a lot together. Right? Currently in 3rd place is definitely not shabby at all. But look, we've been talking about Reason, Vino, and Tayson a lot. This last game was really, really tough for them. We saw them get focused. We saw them get keyed really hard by our #1 team, which is very, very difficult to kind of combat. And we saw the whole pressure come out. We saw them be completely knocked down. But this is the team right here, Quest team with Serenix, is something that we haven't seen much of these guys at all, and they have been completely on fire. Currently in 4th. That last game didn't go too hot for them because we saw them in the early game, but like over the course of the day, incredibly consistent, and definitely a sleeper team that none of us really expected.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, guys, I'm thinking about it, and with the top 3, especially with a few more weeks of qualifiers, I almost want Aqua to qualify, right, and just go on to finals, because that means for everyone else, they're like, okay, thank God the Titan is gone. He's not going to be terrorizing Boney Burbs. Like, we can just play the game we want to play. But we'll have to see. We only have a handful of games left, so strap in, Fortnite fam, because we're going back aboard the battle bus. Shy Wager, C2S7, over to you.
I got to find a second seatbelt, Sancho. I got to do something to make sure that, you know, we're ready to go for this one, because 5 and 6, I mean, the top 3, that's so competitive, and everyone else still has a chance to qualify for the finals happening at the end of the month.
I feel like we're in a different stratosphere here. It's like no longer a battle bus. It's like a battle bus, like a battle rocket. You know, we're in that upper zone. We're flying in low G's here. This is what's so exciting to see. And this is what I love about FNCS. Yes, there's some storylines of new blood coming in for the fun. But there's nothing like seeing old names make a statement. But we already talked about it. Aqua's doing well, but you cannot forget about Vidil and Noah Riley. I mean, there was a lot of chatter on the internet talking about, you know, Reason is being replaced by Aqua. This trio is not going to be able to show out, but we're seeing those height retakes. That was a duo height retake. You know, that is something you have to be uber confident in to take over. And so far, that confidence has led him to the #1 spot here with a couple of games left to go.
That retake was attempted multiple times as well, so it's like uber to the extreme levels of confidence. You're talking about confidence off spawn or end game. Right now, it's all about Sierra R, Micho, and X8 going for this fight almost every single time. Micho letting them know that this is going to be the POI they're going to be staying at throughout the entire season. Possibly, though, today. I mean, they're only in 5th place right now, Sancho. This could just be, you know, doing it once for quals and then replicating it in finals.
I can't believe that Kirachi has been evicted by Mitro's trio so many times today's qualifier week. I mean,
really?
On paper, yeah. I mean, literally on paper, you're thinking a historic trio like Kirachi, Zeus, right? You think that, hey, they're going to be able to hold their ground. They do really well. They're born in the Slurpy Swamp alongside with Stormy, right? But you can't expect Mitro and CRR and X8. Come on paper. On paper, bro.
On paper, I would say yes, because like every time Kiriachi is at Slurpee, there's a new titan for him to fight, right? Previously, it was ex-teammates he was going up against. I think it was Red Rush just rolling in 24/7. And, you know, that fight, that war never subsided. Like, this isn't even World War II with Mitro coming in Slurpy Swamps, right? This is the same war Kiriachi's been fighting. And unfortunately, you know, sometimes winning, sometimes losing season after season.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, once they get out, I mean, we saw them do really well. They finished 6th place last season. It's just something about it. I mean, it's like a new fighter has entered the fight, and he's a little bit of beefier, right? He's a little bit beefier to go ahead and contest there. But now we're going to Steamy Stocks, which seems like another back and forth battle between two trios landing there. And just to mention, we already talked about it, this may be a temporary hold considering Refscar Trio alongside with Andretta Savage automatically qualified considering they finished in the top 3 last season.
A steamy fight will always take a long time. Joe Shadow Benji. They'll roll away with a few remnants of things happening.
Wait, they're dirty?
Dirty Docks?
Okay.
I was expecting a different trio just overall running from there today. Tableau Bayan were the planned routers here, but you got to remember with Mexi, Michael Verox not here, and Thomas, Anas, and Flick not qualifying for you know, this week as well. That was a POI Open that Benji said he did want to utilize for this week. You know, if you make it to finals and you do it very, very fast, you can choose whatever POI you want from that instance that's left that has power, right? So it's not like they're going to be landing 24/7. Good job for Surge as well from Tayson, Raisin, Vino. They do not want to be in positions they're not choosing, right? They want to make sure that damage is there the rest of the game. And now this push, I mean, I've seen it stopped 2 different times, right? You mentioned that Claire's in trouble this game. You said it twice, and then suddenly Claire's still alive, right? 3 zones later. I feel like this guy's disengaged, and they're like, nah, this fight's not worth chasing. It's all good. But they've locked it in, right? They're like, this game, Claire's trio needs to go down. We need to get all this damage done. We need to get all this, you know, position, basically, and then we move after the fact. And I like that from Tayson, Reason, and Vino. It feels like they get a little bit more purpose throughout the whole game, and they get to stay away from Aqua. They get to stay away from the majority of the map. The zone lets them, Sancho. It's towards the left this time. And they don't have to deal with any of these power trios that will give them a run for their money in these box fights. They can pick apart some of those weaker fighter squads and then just have a blessed end game like we've seen them having happen in game 1 and 2.
This may be that game that they definitely need, considering Zone 1 is on the West Coast there. But you said it right there. I mean, they're not going to get Holly Hatchery because already Kinzel, Waking, iDrop already moved out of it. They are the blue arrows, and they're already posted up in center looking for the Storm Surge bases. And then you have Boney Burbs there. They are, you know, Aqua's team. They're going to loot up and take their time, and they're going to look for the rotation out of people coming out of Weeping Woods, Ingram's trio that is coming out of that dish area. On the bottom right, you see Benji, and I'm surprised that they've been aggressive to go to Dirty Docks. Now, we have seen in the Cammy Splits trios, specifically Cammy, Steady, and Teak, they do tend to go to Dirty Docks in that split as well. My question is, are they going to be able to execute that Cammy split better than Cammy, Steady, and Teak, who we already mentioned at the top of the show, Shayo? They're not here. And by far, they've been really consistent in their entire season as playing as a trio. They've been really aggressive, racking up a lot of elims, finishing in 2nd place like Sentence Trio back in the NA East. But they're not here today. So Benji's able to get the take advantage of that, and the theme for Benji is capitalize on the situation.
The entire east side is just so open and up for grabs. And in terms of the question of, you know, can anyone just steal a spot away from someone else? Can they replicate what they do off of, you know, Dirty? It's not the spot really. That's the reason that sometimes these trios are so good overall. It's also the way they roll in towards the later portions of the game, right? The way that Anas, Thomas, and Flick end up clutching a lot of the times. The way, you know, they're always on the back end of things, but they bring it back. That's huge, and that's the style that works at Dirty. Same thing with Steady, Cammy, Teak. They're always adaptable. So is their entire drop spot and split. It's huge. And with Aqua too, I mean, this is a little bit of a new flavor. They have to bring in things to the table we've never seen before.
That is the Cosmic Q talking about taking it back. That takes me back. It plays a little theme song for the chapter 1. It gives me a little bit of the chills every time I hear it, and they were able to get some nice upgrades there. But now take a look at Aqua. Last time we saw them when they went down early in 25th place with 0 elims, Aqua had 5 peppers, and let's see if they're going to be able to survive, because now they have 6 peppers, and you're seeing Aqua taking advantage of the fake base strat that's going to be able to push people away from those really prime Storm Surge areas. But the one thing you have to look at the history so far of this trio. 5th place, 9 elims. 1st place, 13 elims. That 25th, 0 elim game, as I mentioned. And 1st place with 10 elims. Every time they get there, they get some really great elimination points. But more importantly, they're not just winning just a victory out. They're getting those eliminations.
Yeah, and every time they don't get there, they also get there. A lot of these games that they're popping off, Sancho, they're not supposed to be. A duo should not be able to try to retake high 4 times, but they did, and they won. So, like, they're literally forcing this result today. They're playing the best I've ever seen these guys honestly play towards the end game, and it's a lot of fun to watch.
That's just a sign, you know who's at height, like, okay, we could take it over them. And once I saw Pablito up there, I'm like, okay, you got height, bro. But at the same time, you have people like Benji up there pulling on your feet. And then you have Aqua tugging you down back into the muck. And that's what it happened as Knight picks up some huge eliminations on the feed. And Vortex, Hycrest, and Knight, they're able to move on through in that Corny Complex battle.
Yeah, the homeless fights continue over at Corny Complex. Both those trios, once again, kind of evicted from all the contestation they were doing last season. This game, though, you're talking about Benji. I just feel like it rides on exactly what happens to Janice and that trio. 2 games in a row, they're taken out. One of those games, a completely random trio comes in and clutches up off the heal game when Benji's doing his form of dictating height. The next one, Aqua is allowed to retake over and over again. If Janice is alive and he's on height, that's not possible, right? If that God trio is up there, punishing anyone trying to make moves, going for side jumps, what Aqua's doing is not possible. So if Janice ends up surviving, this is going to be the most different and difficult end game that Aqua's going to be looking forward to. And he's also in 2nd place, so he needs this game. Look at this. He's going to make it happen. He stopped in his tracks. I mean, man, she's making Cap just look like a complete flopper left in that box. Janice Chapix will catch up. Well, with Janice there, and I guess commend the man and just having a crazy stoppage there.
It literally went from an insta-bull rotation chase down to insta-box. Like, that's what literally happened right then and there. You're seeing the new rotational item, the mobility item there. I feel like the pros are just scratching the surface, what you can do with it. I think it's really great for these kind of engagements where on the outer edges where you're not going to be worried about someone who's perched up on a mountaintop be able to beam you down. And now you're seeing some more tech coming out from the Fortnite pros right now. The use of the parasites almost like a helmet to be able to absorb any kind of damage and at the same time give you that super confidence because you're rotating with peppers. And if you have a choke cannon or you have heals and anything in that back pocket, you could go ahead and dip into that at any moment and survive the worst thing that has to be for a lot of these Fortnite pros. Avoid that sniper headshot. We saw Savage in the All-Star. We all thought that Savage would do well, and his day started off with the sniper headshot, and he just never recovered from that moment.
It's tough for Toby too to try to pretend like there's 2 teammates with him in this box. If Benji knew, that thing's getting pushed immediately. Luckily though, he'll be able to get a little bit of that acting performance in. A little bit of research being done from Benji though. Wants to know exactly what's going on here. Why aren't there any, edits coming through? Lots of movement through the builds, and Vino doesn't have a helmet. Vino's gonna go down, and I don't think Tayson's trio can afford this. Not only losing the shields, but possibly losing a trio member if another crazy launch pad play comes in. Wait a second on that surge real quick. Yeah, 215 above. They're doing the damage they need, but it's coming at a cost so far. We'll be able to loot up the rest of the map slightly now and get that med kit back, get the minis back as they move. But at the same time, it's kind of scary, Sancho. You don't want teammates being headshot sniped this late into the games.
And what's so fascinating is Tayson essentially, we'll get more back to that point as how Tayson kind of switched the trios here and disbanded. Let's take a look at Benji Jones. You called it. They sniffed out that Toby was by himself and they go ahead and retake that shot here. Benji absorbs a body shot. It doesn't protect you from those. So now Benji's going to go back and take some more shots. Man, you could just imagine they're hitting collarbones here and hitting him in the elbows. So far, that Parasite is still holding on top of here. But look at the confidence that's giving Benji just to allow to get those valuable Storm Surge stats, considering that they're just above 118. So Toby was sitting in a good spot here at the Zipline Mountain, as a lot of the professionals like to call it, or Zipline Hill. Now they're going to take advantage of that and tax anybody that's rotating on through, as we're seeing Noah Riley storm holding again versus trio.
they'll try for it. I just realized too that parasites make your siphon not worth as much as well, right? Because you'll be taken out of that 25 HP fast. So Benji thinking about popping that 50 pot has to think maybe a little bit harder. He's got the equation, the solution solved, knows what to do.
But it's always those Fortnite professionals when they figure out the little tech that no one else is doing that gives them that advantage time and time again. It doesn't matter the season, doesn't matter the chapter. Whoever's just slightly ahead of the meta could get that advantage. And Benji's right now looking really good considering he's in 3rd place. He's moved up from 4th to 3rd after that previous match.
That pickaxe almost fooling me, looking like the FNCS Axe of Champions. But it is just the steering wheel. No, O'Reilly, you sneaky man. Benji is not looking to look for stealth whatsoever. That's blazing. Walls are taking. And Benji is waiting for the next shot to come in. Everywhere around him, these bullets aren't even his right now. But he doesn't even care. Looking for Rax. Finally found him. Nothing left in the inventory but just an AR and pump. These guys just are smelling free elimination points, free catch-up points. They're 20 behind 1st place, which is Aqua right now. They're making up the difference slowly but surely. Launchpad coming through for Rax. Should be able to shoot him out of the air. If it's not Benji's squad, it might be another. Yep, Void gets that finish mid-air before he even gets to land. That is unfortunate.
We're talking about demon mode, as no doubt Benji's trio will be able to hear that launch pad. These guys are full alien parasite mode right now. Benji was just literally pressuring so many different boxes, so many different walls. You talked about taking and doing that small wall, which is a lot of trios have been utilizing lately. I cannot wait to see, hopefully, Shio, we catch a pre-edit short wall. Oh, I cannot wait for that moment if that happens on in-game. But there is Benji again, attached with the alien to his head, making a great use of the tree lines here to be blocked up. And look at this beautiful dead side rotation, and they still have 3 peppers in the back pocket, and we go from beauty to the nastiness of the FNCS as Chapix goes down, and Hen and Janice here are going to figure it out as a duo, and they're not in the safe zone just yet.
Dance, Aqua dance. He might just be for the moment, because right now it's another game where Chapix, Hen, and Janice might not see the end of it. It is going to be a pickup on the Chapix. It's going to be fine for now, but man, I'm just wondering, how is this happening game after game? How are one of these guys getting picked, and as a result, the entire trio just crumbling as they play?
This kind of trio does play well, though, when one of them goes down. They had so much historically. Their duo clutches, solo clutches, they perform very well as a solo at the end game. But as the FNCS skills get higher and higher, you have to question is how many times can they do that? That's always been a critique for them as a trio. As a nice snipe in the back there from Chapix against Baffo is going to go ahead and let them kind of base up here freely. But like I was mentioning, always the criticism is that sometimes the solo play or the solo performances that they have as a trio, when is it going to run out, Shio?
I don't think it ever will when it comes to these guys. Also feel bad for AR Baffo. Every time it's Janice or Aqua, you know, slightly behind or need a siphon, AR Baffo's trio is somehow targeted. They just go down. Like, give my man a break.
It's like, man, we're there in the Deepwood Dish. We've made it cool. Leave us alone, man. Why you always have to keep getting tags on me? But let's see where it is. Zone 4, a little bit more. Like I mentioned, centralized here. Zone 5 will be that half in and half out. Zone 6, 7, 8, and 9 are the moving zones, which a lot of people out there got a taste during Bugha's late game fun.
Everyone's being careful now.
Ooh.
Even people on low HP aren't going for the full committal. But once again, Benji's figuring out exactly where all the rats are hiding inside these bases. Karma now dropped down to 1 HP.
Look at it.
Still moving forward. That parasite has not left Benji's head since the start of this game. He has not taken a single headshot from anyone, in spite being box to box over and over. They find Karma. They get Void. They get more eliminations, and they're getting closer to catching up to Aqua now in first place.
I've never seen Benji kind of push on through, as now we're seeing Holly Hatchery, which used to be Holly Hedges. There is this alien field here that's anti-gravity that people could build in and move up and down throughout. And we cannot wait to see, maybe there's an in-game, but there is a taste of it. But Benji is literally, you told it, the alien on his head, and maybe Benji gets to go home, finally, gets the phone on in home and get back to the finals, because we sure did miss you, brother, last season.
Talk about a team we missed playing in quals too. Hengen is Chapix. You know, first season in a while we're watching them rolling with Quals. And honestly, when I was starting off the day, I was like, is it even fair for these guys to be here? I know sometimes they're getting knocked out left and right before end games start, but every single time they find a way to rotate, even if they don't get zone, even if it's max zone, to get near height, to get in a position to have control over the server. And once again, edge zone towards the south side where the majority of EU is based up right now and trying to move. See Tayson having a god spot, being able to be in, what, 5 different trios? That is huge.
Yeah, this is where Tayson likes to be. No matter what kind of trio he's in, he likes to be holding people in the storm. He pushes people. He makes his own dead side. So he's very comfortable being in this situation, getting those valuable storm surge. So this is within his plan. We've seen him execute this multiple seasons. Let's see if he's able to get these tags on Bad Sniper and Shizo. Yo, actually, Bad Sniper decided to land there. Okay, they decide to take this fight here. Now they have to box up. Tayson, Reason, and Vino are no doubt surprised by that push. Shakos, Bad Sniper now capping on top of that, stopping the beams from Reason's trio. And now we're seeing on this little fight here in the house, Ingram sitting on top here. And wow, another duo performance clutch has to happen. But now, instead of Noah Riley, Vidil has to step into the spot with Aqua.
And you already know the deal before when it's duos, you know, if it's him and Reason clutching or him and Noah Riley, they go low ground, they go mid. He knows the ride that he's on. It's a new car. It's a new roller coaster. He's got to be even taller now because these guys are going straight towards the top. If it's Aqua alive, they're going to be going for height. Meanwhile, though, there are full trios alive, except for Hens. I was about to mention his. He gets knocked for the moment. Chapix responds. They're going back and forth, and Tayson's had enough of getting suppressed. He goes straight in for the box. Another one, and it's down below. I think that's Shaykov's. No, Shaykov's got taken out. His teammate's trying to run away, but Tayson's there. They basically claim one of the best spots once again in the game. They're going to have to move because it's max pull.
Max pull, the half in and half out. There it is. Everyone now gliding over the peaceful meadows here to go to the chaos of the safe zone. This is what we're talking about. Who's going to capitalize it? No, almost everybody has that free flight in. The migration was there. The migration was strong. Tayson, Reason, and Vino not being penalized, taking that fight way back in the storm line against Bad Sniper. So they're looking good. On the top right of your screen, we have Chapix, Hen, and Janice here who've been knocked multiple times in this matchup, looking strong as well.
Aqua got taken out though, moving in, knocked down. That's first place, put at a pause for the moment. Vidil will have to clutch 1v, honestly, everyone just by himself. Is it going to be possible? Janice, he might be the one to take over with Hen and Chapix from second place. Him and Benji Fishy are 20 points behind Aqua's trio squadron, and this might be the game they finally break free.
Second place is still up. Reason gets an elimination on Dazin, so Reason is still there. That's what we're talking about, the solo, and it's going to push a little bit to the east, and you're seeing a majority of the competitors are still up in the wake here on the front side. The question is who's going to be taking height, and look at the deal. He's on the bottom right, still alive, as Janice and Chapix and Hen are putting pressure on the layer down below.
All focus on Vidil right now, just a 9-point lead for the moment. 48 mats on the launch pad to go with as well. The ammo looks good. The position looks good too. He's pulled zone right beside himself. This is a perfect spot to clutch up key placement. But once again, remember, Sancho, 10 trios alive, 20 people alive in the 9th zone, 3 zones away. That's what we're used to watching. This is going to be a very difficult situation for Vidil to work out with.
In these situations, it gets a little bit scarier considering he is 210 HP below the storm line and 11 people have to go down. He doesn't have that much minis to hold on to it. And at the same time, all he wants to do is get to that top 10 placement because 2 points will be doled out instead of 1. He's causing chaos. He's throwing down the fireflies and hoping to burn all those soft mats here. It is Ingram at height. You're looking at Bobby on the front side of Storm. Shadow is on the front side as well here. You have Go-Go's on the top of your screen here. So much is at stake considering that the #1 spot is in shambles as a solo, but he is going to go in and inject himself into Frozen's tarp.
Frozen sees him, has to go down and defrost. Unfortunately, though, he'll catch a little bit of a heat wave on the backside of a few boxes. Has to build all the way back up, and now is in a position he wasn't planned on being in with wooden materials. Might have to drop the launch pad somewhere, but everything is blocked. Still moving through. He's only using 10 builds a zone. It's insane, but finally, he gets found out, dropped down in the bush, and taken out in the back alley. Vidil goes down. Now, Janice, Chapix, Hen, they're going to be the ones to try to run away with it. They saw the feed. They saw the man go down, and they can take first place.
Ingram went ahead and just capped himself at the high ground. So Ingram's trio is still holding on. Benji gets an elimination in the feed. There is the battle at height, but now we're taking a look at Joe on the bottom right of your screen, making the rotation on the front side, on the dead side here, looking really solid, and they are strong as a trio. 7 eliminations for Benji's trio, and you're looking on the top side, 8 eliminations for Janice, and they're operating on the mid ground. Joe is making a layer switch and going up to the mid ground, so we might see a clash between the two. Ingram and Vox and Buzz here for the first time are on the high ground, but we all know Benji is always looking for height.
Janice versus Benji. Janice ticking down inside the storm. He goes through. Now it's up to Chapix, who has a little bit of a 3-point lead. Benji slightly behind him, but he's making up all the eliminations right now. Placement's getting handed out. Janice finally going down. Joe, he'll move in with the big chuck splash.
There they go.
Blocking off a few shots, are pushing inside the box, but he gets invaded from the backside. Benji now caught in a pinch, and they're getting their health bars just depleted. Joe has been fully finished. It's all up to Benji now. No teammates beside him. He'll have to make the clutch to take first place.
Here it is. Benji starts the clutch ride with the capital C, eliminating Astro. Here it is. Benji breaking through the builds on the backside of the storm. He's going to try to sneak up and catch somebody, but no, he's having some issue breaking through. Does it get Mirza? He's sneaking in, breaking through. Will Bill, Tripper, and Hottie in front of him. They get, the edit is there, and Benji gets eliminated, but that was a very big elimination. But here is 6th place going into this match. Tayson and Vino here as a duo. We've seen them here at the end game, but that was actually Frozen getting that knock, but Vino gets Hottie. Tayson eliminates Tripper for another elimination. This is looking solid for them. They've been really solid throughout the entire time, but can they walk away with the victory Royale style, considering that has been eluding them throughout the entire day?
They were 40 points removed from the top side of the server, and now they're making that big comeback. Tayson and Vino will have to do it as a duo. Voxy inside the storm. He's going to take a lot of damage from that circle, but Tayson, he's making the climb. He grabs height from an entire squad of 3 people, lands 2 pumps, and as Vino goes down as a distraction, he's the one to stay safe and stay alive. This is huge from Tayson. 138 points. He's looking to wrap it over. Taking out 1 trail, but he's going to have to do it again. Buzz, big shot. He's down. Now it's low ground, who doesn't know exactly where he is. Mirza, Frozen. They might take a free shot, and they do. Mirza takes 100 damage. Another one from Tayson. He's alive right now, electric, but he needs to get grounded very shortly because there's a huge amount of time still left. Denied Frozen from the right side. He's still going for it. Mirza, he's trying to play that safe zone, but Tayson has the chuck splash cannon.
Oh!
Mirza, take it through. Tayson is absolutely insane.
Tayson with the huge victory Royale. Oh my goodness, a 2-piece. What a great performance from Tayson, the FNCS All-Star champion, and a 2v1, showing that he is one of the best. And this is it today GOAT Day? Is it just Aqua and Tayson performing? This is what we're seeing here, Sayo, in today's shots.
I don't know. I gotta calm down for a second, because this man took 2 1v3s, height retake, low ground retake, solo elimination, and he did it with the storm. Sancho, that is one of the hardest clutches we've seen in the world.
It's only gonna get better. It's FNCS season, baby. Let's kick it to the desk to break that all down.
Tayson! Oh my God! What? Guys, listen. This is Qualifier 1. Save some for finals. Save something for later. What in the world? First of all, okay, I have to give just the maddest props to Tayson. So many other people in that situation where they have to just 1v2, 1v3 situations, they'll stumble, they'll fall. Tayson was in control the entire time. Anytime he was on screen, I was like, there's no way. Look at the confidence behind him. Look at the shots. Look at the placement, the crosshair, the builds, the mobility, how he's moving. He knew he was going to win. It was just like, okay, it was one big chess game. He was like, all right, yep. And checkmate, game's closed. I like the VR. Thank you so much, everybody. I'll be here in finals. We'll see you guys then. Woo!
Man. How are you letting him do that to you, man?
How?
How are you letting him this guy's nasty, man. Tayson. Come on, man. Let's take it easy, man. Take it easy. It's Qual 1. It is actually Qual 1. Relax, man. Relax. Look at you, bro. Look. We're boys, man. Relax.
Look, I'm gonna be real with you. My jaw dropped standing here watching what we've just seen from Tayson. That was probably the most insane clutch I've seen in a long, long time. You got to remember back to all the All-Stars where he had a very, very similar clutch in the final game to win him the All-Star solo event overall. This just shimmers that he's just reflecting that exact same high level of gameplay, doing so as a solo in the last minute. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
We just watched the best player in the world.
Yeah,
simple as
100%. I'm glad that you guys could see my camera feed because I was literally losing my freaking mind. But guys, that's enough about Tayson for a moment. We have a few minutes before games. Let's talk about teams on the bubble. Teams that need to push it that could make it in that top 3. Reese Levin, just give us a few.
Well, look, we can start off with Mitro's trio, right? Mitro, X8CR, definitely a team who will have a lot of support, right? Mitro, a fan favorite, CR, fan favorite, and even X8, the creator himself. These guys have impressed today. Definitely surprised me, but it's not done. They have that final game, and they need to have a good final game to push their way into the auto-core spots.
They do. You know, they've kind of dropped down a little bit because that last game wasn't too good for them. But now, look, hopefully they're going to be able to pull it back up. The team, another one, Lolito's team with Horn on QG. These guys really, really impressed, right? We didn't see too much of them early on, but they were at the top of the leaderboards at one point today. But the team who wasn't second coming into this, we'll see where the leaderboards have shaken up to. Hen, Janice, Chapex. They've been on an absolute terror today.
I'm still just in shock, man.
I'm shaking. My core is shaking.
And even
he's not first.
Shocking.
He's not even first.
This
He's
is
fourth.
shocking. What is going on? This last game is absolutely mental. For one, look at how close it is between the top 4. 158, 155, 154, and 152. Joe, Benji, and Shadow. I know how they're here, but I don't know how they're here. Do you know what I mean? But going into this final game in first is insane. But look, it genuinely is anyone to play for in this top 4, right? One of these teams will deserve to make it in and just won't at the end of the day, right? So, you know, huge stakes going into this one. But wow, what a final game we have on the cards.
I mean, I kind of joked about this before that like if Aqua's trio made it through, like at this point we're gonna like remove 3 insane trios from the pool. Okay, everyone else has been trying to play Fortnite. These trios at the top have said like no, here are the hands, take the hands, you know. And now with 3 of those gone and automatically qualify to finals, literally everyone else is gonna take a deep breath. They're gonna be like, okay, so we're allowed to play Fortnite now. I'm allowed to go to a POI. I'm allowed to make this rotation. That is just how dominant some of these trios in Europe are. They just command everything. They are their own gravitational forces. It is insane. Fortnite fam, 1 game left here in EU Qualifier 1. You know we're doing this one last time. Back aboard the battle bus. Shy Wagers, Sancho West, take it away, boys.
With that insane clutch, Tayson has bought himself a ticket to the most ultimate legendary showdown we've seen in a qualifier, Sancho. This is just week 1, and we have a 4-way race all the way at the top with only 3 spots up for grabs for the finals of Europe.
And chat, before you, everybody out there is like, oh, this is a lock for that top 3. Not so fast. In the previous season, we saw anyone as low as 8 be able to sneak up. I'm looking at the leaderboard right now. You're looking at Mitro, number 6. If he gets the Victory Royale with some of those clean eliminations, he could steal away a top 3 spot. And what a bummer that it has to take away from the trios that we have already. Benji's, Aqua's, and Hen trio are now holding on. 4th place, you have Vino by 2 points, and then you have Lolito with at least a chance as well. But man, oh man, it's coming down to the moment, and this is only week 1. Out of this world performance from all of our FNCS EU pros.
It started off with a bang, and that made the foundation also not so sturdy. We always watch the situation delve down all the way towards endgame, but we've watched it right now, Sancho, historically, over these past 5 games. Janice struggling sometimes in mid-game. Aqua being taken out. Benji is the only person I've kind of seen so far survive almost every game, but even in the second game he played today, 17th place. So it's not just about waiting now, and we talk about random things all the way to half and half. At any moment so far, a launch pad can send a trio flying in and take out any of these Titans at the 150-point range, basically not qualifying them for the FNCS finals.
Top 3 is what we're looking for. And if you need some help to make sure you want to be on board with us, 154 is the threshold right then and there. So keep an eye on that golden number right next to the player card. That is what we're looking for to see who's going to surpass that. And that's being held down by Hen. As you're seeing, the feed is still lighting up with a lot of people who are just trying to get a very valuable series points as well. So still a lot to play for if you're not near the top 6.
Practice is still there.
Oh, no.
Kyuji down Lolito. He's hanging by a thread. Over at Dirty Docks, it'll be the natives to this POI for the moment right now. I guess the new natives. It'll be Ghosty rolling in because a lot of those big teams aren't there for the moment, looking for a fast finish for this squad. Pistol actually giving a lot of trouble to Ghosty up top, but out of ammunition now. Should be an easy and fast finish, but Horno actually has a clutch at it.
Oh.
Not going to be possible. Interp shot there from Ghosty to be able to take him out. Lolito will try to go in from the backside. Is this a 1v1 to see exactly which trio gets to live? I think it is. And Ghosty's on the back end of it. Ooh, and Lolito fucked this too. He gets the entire trio backing up alive. Kyuji's revive timer wasn't taken out completely the whole way, but look at the arrows coming in, Sancho. That smells kind of like Benji's trio, who's waiting to see if they can pick up the scraps.
No matter what, Lolito's trio is showing that they could be a factor going forward. We already talked about the big names at the top of the show, not in this fight, so there's no doubt they could be a new developing big name in the FNCS EU. The big names as well. Yes, you said it. You must have the insight. You don't need any kind of player cards to know. It is Shadow, Joe, and Benji Fishing here to looking to clean up and be the custodians of this Dirty Docks fight.
This is going to be difficult, and that launch pad is blocked as well. I think just put down so the other team can't actually get it. Lolito going back and forth. Joe, he's going to be able to wrap it up fully. Kyuji should get down here shortly as well to Benji. Yup, the bench is there from Shadow and Joe. Classic duo. Domination you like to see. And that is 3 free elims for Benji to possibly, let me check real quick. Yes, even further the gap between him and the people tied right beside him inside the top 4. He was at 158. Aqua's team coming in from the back at 155. But now with, what is it, 6 more points rolling through, that gap really widens. Right now, placement, right, it'll get handed up to everyone. So Elim should be the name of the game.
That's right here. Shadow and Joe and Benji are taking advantage of that dockside dish, being able to use that permit pad. You're seeing the strategy. You know their game plan going forward as Milan takes out High Chris's trio. You're seeing the strategy, chat, is using those parasites to be able to get the momentum, using those permanent pads to be able to move on through and just aggressively push teams here. But now we're taking a look at the safe zone here. Number 1, a little bit south central, where Ingram's those red arrows looking good. But I saw on the feed that Kirachi is now finally kind of taking out Mitro. So Mitro is just barely on. That team in number 6 place is in trouble. But let's see in Janice, who's in 3rd place at the moment, can they kind of bridge that gap from Vino's team, who's in 4th place on the bottom right of your screen?
Very nominal differences between the teams and points right now. Absolutely correct. Cosmic Chest as well, Sancho. This gives you that season 8 type of vibe, not only as you mentioned with the music, but the things you're able to get from this, right? I believe Chuck splash cannons are on the table. Upgrades in general. You see Genesis with a green AR. I see lots of blues popping out of there as well. Sometimes purple. We'll see exactly what this team has to work with right now. A few snipers dropped in and some mats. So might not be my favorite Cosmic Chest, but they'll get a few out of it.
We call that the Thomas HD Cosmic Chest. Nothing but snipers. And hopefully we get to see Thomas HD flicking an us and the next week. I'm just happy that we have a break in between, because if anything could tell us what's going to happen in week 2 of the qualifiers is, oh my goodness, we're still in for a crazy ride.
Absolutely. You got to understand that out of these 4, God trios are watching right now, and a lot of these guys, are playing so phenomenally today. One of them, possibly even 2 or more, depending on how this game goes, might not make it in, and then we get to see them again after the bye week, Sancho. And that's also just crazy to think about. But at the same time, you got to remember, Lolito, although he's taken out, Mitro has a chance to play a little bit of catch up. We know historically when these guys are in game, they have big pop-off games.
Giving you an update in 6th place, Mitro, X8, and CRR have been eliminated. What a great run, considering that they're a newly formed trio. They had some great flashes, and unfortunately, the Kiriachi there was just enough to wound them in a couple of their 6-game set to take them out of the running for the top 3. My question for you, Shayo, is who is going to benefit the most from a top 3 finish? And I have to say Aqua, considering his previous injuries, just the ability to rest, to take his time, or to wait until the finals to be able to go back into peak performance. No doubt, Aqua is going to be the one that's going to take some big value automatically qualifying for the finals.
100%, that's true, but I feel like standing up for an FNCS, he's ready, you know, to experience a bit of that pain week after week after week. I feel like if we're looking at drops in game state, it's Tayson's team that badly needs to qualify. You know, Freemox rolling in over at Believer Beach. We have a bunch of trios in EU. It's kind of undecided who owns that spot right now. If these guys can roll in, Tayson, Vino, Reason, and take the spot by storm, take it off on the first week, that is a huge advantage to play for inside the finals.
Yeah, that big name is, we talked about it, 4ZR's trio, who loves to land there, who used to land there all the way from Sweaty Sands, and of course Freemock, who was just like all of a sudden doing some crazy things in-game in the previous season, who's now landing there as well. And if you ever watch a Freemock stream, you know how confident he is in a fight, but now we're seeing our top 3 jockeying for position and making sure they're not taking a lot of unnecessary engagements, considering, like I mentioned, 4th and 5th place could easily vault over and get inside the top 3.
Yeah, I think honestly, it's just literally Tayson's inside this top 4 that really needs it, because if you look at the others, right, you look at the easiest of, like, you know, if people don't qual, who doesn't have it that hard whatsoever, who has it easy. I think Janus is completely free with this, right? Only struggling really because Aqua's challenging them superbly on height. They're never going to be challenged at Craggy week after week. They might honestly want the practice in general, right? And even Benji, you talk about the fact that this man likes moving out of his POI, Sancho. He's just adaptable week after week. They capitalize, as you said, right, over what's open. They're not even worried about the week to week either. I feel like in semis, they should be confident as well. So for these guys, it's just a plus to qual overall, and they're obviously looking for it. For Tayson, though, and Vino and Reason, this is a completely different set of stakes. They need to qual here now, because next week could literally be 3 times harder.
That is what at stake here. This is the final game 6 of qualifiers week 1, round 4. This is what we were watching here. We've been seeing some GOAT performances, some highlight play from the top of the top here. We're talking about the old school name of Aqua being able to get victory royales 2 times here, and Tayson, who was able to put on a show, and that show just got them in the running here for the final run here in game 6. But can they catch up to Hen, Janus, and Chapix? That is the question to be seen here, but this is going to be one of those engagements here that Ingram's not going to be an easy out here for Aqua's trio.
Gotta remember how much these elims matter too. Aqua kind of surprised he got the last 2 shots in, but not the sniper. I kind of am too. The leg was hanging out. Rick helping him out a little bit with some bricks, so he doesn't have to farm as much. I like it.
You could just feel like the entire Fortnite community here rooting for Aqua. They want to see the name go through. They want to see Aqua get back into an FNCS finals. Season 4 was a good chance. Of course, we had some of those redemption storylines right after that. You partner up with CRR and Vino, just wasn't clicking. Just wasn't clicking for Aqua, and now Aqua has a chance to get in here. But all that stands in the way is Tayson, who's in 4th place.
What is the #1 thing Aqua needs right now? Which trio needs to go down so they have a good time, Sancho?
Tayson. Tayson has to go. Tayson's already they already collided once at in-game before. Aqua had the better end of that. Tayson was there multiple times at in-game on the low ground, and they've so far, Aqua's trio has been shown out, but it is Tayson who one of them could clutch. Remember, Tayson is an all-star trio, essentially. That is 1st, 2nd, and I'm looking at my notes, I believe 5th place, 6th place, all coming together from the all-star route and being a trio. Have you ever seen that before, ever? 3 solos who finished in a top 10, forming a new trio the next following competitive season? No way.
They're very star-studded. I would also say that Janus's trio specifically would need to be taken out before half and half. and Aqua would have a superb chance at just dominating the end game. These guys are just sharing one seat, Sancho, over and over again. Both these trios, they both want to play for height. They're both forcing it, fighting each other all the way up towards the skies. Aqua's going for retakes, and Genesis trio has one of the best holds over retakes we've ever seen. At the same time, you're right. If Tayson makes it towards the end game, that's trouble too. I feel like all these teams don't have to worry about Benji Fishy, and Benji's hoping to actually all stay alive and end up taking each other out towards the end game because they can just play mid ground, right? Very, very secretive and very, very passively.
But wow, what a good feeling for Benji to be #1 spot here. That is going to definitely make the Benji Fishy fans happy. That's going to make Benji happy considering he did not even make it into, he was having issues in the qualifiers, having issues in the heats, and now he's here. He has an opportunity to get into the finals in the first week of Chapter 2, Season 7. That has to be a nice feeling here, but still, hey, I'm very hesitant because all it takes is one pop off from Tayson, and he's going to push one of these trios out of that top 3.
Still, every single one of them alive for the moment. All of them taking it easy. Benji's been the only one to really capitalize off of any stray hairs that were in the lobby, that were looking to get a little bit cheeky in the early game. That was Lolito's trio that went down early.
Remember, this rotation of the Southern Zone, Hen, Janus, and Chapix have a lot of issues going through Lazy Lake. If this pulls further, they're going to have to make those adjustments because Rao's not the time to go down. It has been these late rotations. We've been seeing all day. They're sitting way back in the storm line, sending down sniper shots, sending down beams, and riding late into the safe zone. And it's cost them in very valuable things. And they cannot go down here right now because it may cost them that top 3 spot.
Seen it 3 different times today, but then once again realize, right? It's Aqua dictating who comes in and out. Tayson on a high ground position, watching who's moving and taking snipes. Mirza's up there right now, looking to. This looks kind of free between this valley. So yeah, Chapix, Janus, start to move. Lots of trees in the way. No one's really farmed it out. Meanwhile, where bases are secured inside the zone, it's Benji, Shadow, and Joe, who once again, they get prime position, Sancho. What do? They expand wide. They don't go high. The biggest difference we're watching today. And they overindulge in it to make sure no one can really push their boxes from different ways. And they have options to move. They need to go up the mountain. They go towards the northeast side of their base that's slightly elevated too, and they can build up. If they need to go towards that dam towards the left, Hydro 16, back where they kind of started off in different seasons, then they have the big, entire, look at that, entire box to box to box scenario to do that, to have the room to do so.
Instead of going for a penthouse, they're going for like wide acreage, man. That's what they want. They want to be able to spread out and lounge out as much as possible here. And now we're seeing a nice satellite base here from Tayson, Vino, and Reason, who are now gatekeeping anyone else rotating through the mountains here from the north. And you said it, Tayson is going to be able to keep an eye on Hen and Janus and Chapix here if they're making their rotations late as well. So there they are on the bottom right of the screen. Look at Tayson sees them. He has eyes on them. And that is going to be 4th place versus 3rd place. Tayson could hold them out and get his way into the finals if he needs to, as he's taking shots at Kinzel. And we got to touch on that lightly, man. Kinzel, Wakey, and Eyedrop, who are slowly making their way from the bottom of the board, now back into 19th place going into this match. But they started off this day in shambles.
Really did, and they're kind of bringing it back. I'm just so surprised at how Tayson saw that. That's like Arc Room levels of going for Storm Surge tags up in a base. Randomly seeing a pixel of someone exposed and instantly reacting to it, hitting the shots. I'm wondering what the counter is for these guys. Every single trio to take shots on, it's at least 96 damage they're rolling with to take back home. Player in the air, but no one even cares. He doesn't get shot. That's crazy. What? Gets in for free. I like it. Bad Sniper, though, still looks like he has one teammate down. Unfortunate. Yusuf should be the trio to bully here. But at the same time, a Firefly coming in on the wooden base, they're going to have to rebuild here, Sancho.
They have to break down all the soft matches as fast as possible to stomp out that fire here and hold on. Again, this is 4th place here, trying to get in that threshold that keeps moving up and up. Placement points are already being doled out here. They've already doled out that 124 placement. The next placement points will be doled out in the top 17.
Oh, man. That placement's so important. You want to make sure you're close towards the center point of this zone to grab it in. While that Firefly went down, I was wondering who threw it. What was the purpose? Did anyone actually benefit? Answer, no. No one did. At least from what I saw, I thought that was a Janus God play to move in towards the zone, but they're still trapped. Aqua is waiting a hot minute. Maybe it was them who was trying to get out of the sight lines, but they're also stuck in the dirt.
This is a scary rotation considering that you have so many trios in the safe side. How are they going to be able to solve this? The pad is there. You talked about the free beams that happen. It's a short pad. This is it. So many, no, look at that, so free, no eyes on them, using the natural terrain, this little nice little divot, and they move in through, and they're in the safe zone. That was a clean pad. They saved about 300 mats right then and there.
Mats are a big thing. This might be free from the downside as well. Take it by moving in. Got to remember, these guys are elite level players at surviving. They won one of the games today. I believe it was game number 3, just by knowing exactly where to go, how to avoid god trios like this, and then heal off inside the storm. Yusuf, though, he's caught way back. Tayson forcing everything out of that trio, and this might be free picks for the deal.
Coming down to the final moments here. This is game 6. We have 3 contenders already so close to getting in, but there's the 4th one, that is Tayson's trio. 5th place of Lolito's trio is gone, eliminated. So all eyes are on Tayson and Janice, Aqua and Benji. Benji's in the lead, but again, Benji could slip out if he goes down in the mid game. So all eyes are on the feed, and we're gonna keep an eye on as Hen picks up a knock on Felix King.
That's a big one. That's going to be huge. Remember, for any of these top 4 trios, that's Janice's, Aqua's, Tayson's, and Benji's. Any of these elims separate them from each other. They're very, very close tied, 2 or 3 points beside. That's a big one for Hen.
Right now, Benji's trio is in the middle, looking solid. Now you see over there, Tayson is going for height up on the left here, and Noah Riley is taking notes there, and Janice is right below that. It's going for that snipe through the window. Doesn't connect. Zone 5 is revealed, and they pulled. Let's see what are the options for Aqua. Do they decide, are we always on height, or they just chill and try to rack up as much points as possible?
They have to wait because they know all these height teams will launch pad in on them. No point in wasting the mats. Bully these teams down below. Let these guys base up, and let's play a retake in just a little bit. They will have to launch in those, Sancho, so there is a potential for these guys to open up these pyramids, go for the beams while they glide. That might be the difference maker, but they have to time it completely right. Benji's looking for shots as well on the top right side of your screen, and they are the most ahead. 3 elims, 169 points. That's the 7-point difference from Aqua's team, who's in 2nd place currently, from how things look. That's going to be a huge difference maker because these guys all stay alive all the way towards the top 3.
And they're making the rotation on foot. Here it is, 3rd place. 161 is the threshold. That's the number Tayson has to catch up to, Shio. And they're going on foot as well, but they're paying the price. Janice gets cracked right now. Gotta dip into the minis here. Now they're gonna take a brief pause. This could be the thing that cost them that top 3 spot. But here they go. Now they push on through as Hen is leading the charge.
That might have been a beautiful place to stop because Janice looks over and sees height is actually on their lair. They can keep pushing left and be towards the higher portion of this game. That's been their strat since game number 1. It's just been difficult to find exactly where that is. Tayson finds eye drop though. Another big difference maker in those eliminations. Janice has a chance right now to fully heal up and then play this god retake backside position. But at the same time, it's Tayson who's on high ground for the moment. This is not a trio that falls easy. Aqua's nowhere near them either. They're on the opposite side of the zone. This might be what exactly Tayson, Vino, and Reason need.
And Vino picked up an elimination as well. So that's 4 elimination points, 168. I believe that may overtook Hen's trio right then and there. We have to take a look at what was Hen's points at this brief moment here. But when that team's at height, they're going to have the ability. And look, they're getting closer and closer to the 1st place. 4-point difference between Tayson's trio and Benji, who is at 1st place, who's decided to play for placement while Tayson is playing for height and racking up the eliminations. But there it is, Benji now poking at some builds right across the way. No clean tags or anything like that. And zone pulls back up north. So that's going to be huge for him, Janix, and Chappix, considering that they were on that backside layer.
They might be the lowest of the ground trio right now, but the entire EU region is looking up to Benji Fishy, Joe, and Shadow. 173 points. They're the one in the lead, and here we go. The entire server starts to move. Save it Rifle all the way there towards the front side. Tayson's also looking, hunting on height for what to find. Benji starts to move. Launchpad down, blocks the shots from the walls. Genius by the man. The mechanics are insane, and they go away unscathed as they land towards the front side of the zone. Noah Riley broken down. Aqua,
he knocked
going
Tayson
for height. That's insane.
Tayson gets knocked right there, always on height. They were looking for an opportunity, and Aqua had picked the right one to strike and may have stopped Tayson from taking their top 3 spot. It is Aqua, Noah, Riley, and Bendil on high. Tayson's in the backside of the storm knocked, while Benji's at 173 points. You're looking at Aqua in 168, 170 now, so they just have a 1-point lead. So it's up to Vino, and it's up to Reason there to hold on through, to push their way through in the top 3. And look at that, Reason's on the front side. He's right there, and it looks like he's separated from Vino.
High versus low, though, 3-point difference. Whereas Janus at the same time, 184 damage below Surge's Benji's team. They need to be able to out-heal this 7 different people. They need to look for damage. They'll look to Aqua. They'll look to the skies, calling towards a god, but no one's trying to answer at all. They find nothing. 114 below. 174 points still. They're locked in. Mini's being run through. Benji's team is hurting right now. Aqua's is thriving. Another storm strike comes through. 6 people need to go down. They're going straight through their shields right now. Janus is going to get taken in the feed by Versa. That's another big team. It might just be 2 different players surviving, but no, they get 74 above. Benji's team is free, and they find another elimination too. That's huge. They'll start to move in. 5 for Benji right now. We'll go with it, and they're going to still hold on to things. 178 points, a 5-point difference.
You're seeing right now, Hen and Janus are still up as well here. They're in the feed. They're going at it. And Janus picking up another knock here. You're talking about the first and second here going toe-to-toe. But the question is, who better? I'm looking right now. Vino, Tayson, and Reason have been eliminated. So this might be the luck that we see. And who's going to finish in first place as Benji goes down?
He's gonna go down. It's all up to Joe and Shadow together, the duo, to end the game here, to possibly even take first place. 186 points there, slowly but surely falling further and further upward away from Aqua's position for the moment. He's at 175. Joe and Shadow, though, will be 1 teammate down in a lair there where they can't really control anything that's happening around them. They'll be able to have a lot of free space, though. That's huge. As Aqua gets challenged by Karma on heights.
It is Void, Fastroki, and Karma there. Noah Riley trying to help out, but Aqua's trying to push for first place here. Down by 8 points. It is all about statements being made here in week 1. He's going to have to retreat down into the mid-ground as Void, Fastroki, and Karma now have height. But Joe and Shadow, who are always thinking like, wow, we're going to be able to step up with a big name like Benji. They're doing it as a duo, and they may walk away and clutch first place. And Noah Riley's in the box right there. But Joe goes down, and now Aqua goes down, and Noah Riley is the solo left after all that scrum.
Second versus first place, and Noah Riley takes a bite. He's going to be able to take 1 person down for now, but he's the last one surviving. Has to solo clutch this out at 182. They're still going to be slightly behind. He not only needs to win, but land big shots and exactly just take away Elim after Elim. Noah Riley gets 1, works up for a second. That Chuck Splash Cannon buying him so much time inside the storm, but there's more happening in the feed.
Hen is alive here. It's a battle for first. I think Noah Riley went down at 184, 182 now for Hen. Hen, the English Lord here with 3 eliminations, gonna go for a solo clutch, and that's it. Eliminated, gone, but wow, what a great finish here. The top 3, we have some amazing goats, but we still have some series points on the line. As you're seeing, Fastroki, Void, and Karma here. Void with 9 eliminations. What a huge pop-off game from them, and they get the victory royale. Wow, talking about a amazing building zone, 15 eliminations, and the victory royale. But Shayo, we were watching the top 4 the entire time, and Tayson's trio going down in the end game opened up the door for the other top 3 to feel good about it.
Yeah, Tayson had a very, very good clutch in game 5 to be able to have a chance inside that 6th game, to play that end game, to play for the top 3. Unfortunately, taken out all the way towards the very end by, EU's very own Aqua on that high ground retake. I feel like, though, Benji, Joe, Shadow, they played the most lethal game of Fortnite today. Consistency, Sancho, is the key inside formats like this, and they just brought it game after game after game, and I think had enough of a sizable lead to take away that big first place slot at the end of the day.
Definitely, time will tell. And folks, that was only week 1 of the qualifiers of Chapter 2, Season 7. And if anything could be like that, what a great preview for the rest of the ride here. For Shayo Wager and Sancho West, we'll be here covering it all and casting it all. So don't you go anywhere. And hey, we need the boys to break it down to see why did it all unfold and who's in the top 3. Let's kick it to the analyst desk.
Thank you guys so much. You're incredible as always. Wow, 6 games done. I feel like I blinked and it's just like all been one crazy blur of Fortnite. So let's take a look and see who our overall winners are. Because remember, we've been fighting for a top 3 spot. Top 3 will automatically be pushed into finals later on. Joe, Benji Fishy, Shadow, 186 points. And take a look at this, boys. And Janice and Chapix, they made it through, but my eye immediately is also drawn to Aqua. Levin, he has made a return, and in just qualifier 1 says, all right, Fortnite fam, I don't know why y'all forgot about me, but I'm here and I'm here to play.
I'm so impressed by the performances of 2nd and 3rd place, but I'll be honest, Zeke, I'm looking at 1st place. Joe, Benji, and Shadow winning this competition was not something I foresaw in, you know, the ancient scribes of Fortnite. This is not something I would have expected to see out of the first week of qualifiers, and it's a pleasant surprise. I will say that. As much as I've been very critical of Benji in the past, it is a very, very pleasant surprise to actually see him win a major event here.
It's a major qualifier too, and I think in particular Benji had struggled saying that he hasn't won an event for a long time, and people potentially putting that on him. But look, first big event of this season for trios. Him, Joe, and Shadow are proving every single person wrong. Now up in 1st place. I mean, bringing OGs back in 1st and 2nd of Aqua and Benji is so good to say, and obviously it's not just solo teammates. They have their teammates with them too.
Look, these guys have been brilliant today, and you can see there, they had 6 full trio wipes, 38 total eliminations. You know, 50% of their games that they played, they finished in the top 10. Like, you know, these guys were really out there to play today. And I think the big thing is now is that confidence, right? You talked about it, Reese. You know, it's been a while, a long while. We've been waiting for Benji to win an event, and he finally has it. So to be here now, it is genuinely a brilliant feeling. He must feel ecstatic. You know, I don't know if he's streaming or anything, but I'm sure he's on top of the world right now.
But he said before this, I saw the tweet says, I'm not going to stream this. I'm just going to be fighting off spawn. It's going to be so boring. Why not? Come on, you came 1st off stream. Unfortunately, hopefully that doesn't convince him not to stream some future events, because his POV is always an absolute blast to watch. You know, like I said, I'm with you. I was critical of their gameplay previously, in particular in this season too, when I was watching some of the earlier rounds. I saw the fact that their main gameplay was just high, and we kind of saw that through the earlier few games, and we saw obviously Big Aqua chop them down, and it wasn't so successful in game number 2. But when we started watching them later on in the second half of those games, they weren't just playing straight for height. They were playing mid. They were playing not necessarily full low, but mid to low. And they were getting tons of eliminations, keeping themselves consistent. And that's exactly what they need to do, those kind of adjustments to be consistent. And look, number 1, those boys got to be happy about that.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the big thing as well, right, is that, like, you know, these guys need to still work on the fundamentals, right? You know, we've seen teams perform well in qualifiers and not translate it in finals. They're not going to have the chance to play the next qualifier. They're not going to have the chance to play semi-finals. They have to put in a lot of work behind the scenes now to make sure they are ready to go in that finals when it's going to be the biggest stage, the biggest possible stage for this trio.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what I do want to do is take a look at the results, because we've already talked about that top 3, but you know what this means? This means Tayson just missed qualification. Now, that's fine, right? We still have 2 more weeks of qualifiers. They're still racking up series points. And a very quick note, Fastroki there, that last game, 15 eliminations as a trio. Suddenly, they just jumped all the way up into 5th place. And for them, once again, when you're talking about series points, this is so good to go into week number 2 to say, look, we basically came 2nd, if you will, in the series point leaderboard. We're feeling very confident they could just shoot for the top 3 once again. If they play consistent, get another top 10 performance, they're more than likely going to qualify and go through to semifinals.
Yeah, 100%. This is a great foundation to build off of. You know, you look at how you performed in this. I think, you know, especially in the case of Fastroki's trio, you know, it was a bit of a late bloomer situation, but even then, you know, definitely going to be a good sort of thing to build off of coming into the next couple of weeks. And I think that final game showed exactly what they're capable of. You know, winning that game with 15 eliminations, that is no, easy game to get. So, you know, I'm really excited about these guys moving forward. And I think for all of these teams here from 4th to 10th, at one point today, they all impressed me in some way.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And in particular, I've got to give it a shout out. We kind of said this earlier to Mitro's team, who's in 9th. I've seen good growth from this team and Mitro in particular over the last few seasons. You know, a difficult last 2 after winning all the way back in season 4. But that growth has definitely culminated now in getting back to these round 4s, placing top 9. You know, a little bit more progression, and you can see a top 3 in the next 2 qualifiers. Same like you mentioned with any of these other top 10 teams. You know, we've said Vino, Tayson, and Reason as well. It's a shame for them just to miss out. They did get landed on high ground by Aqua's team. But look, we got to run it back through all the victory rounds of the day because this has been an absolute winner of one.
Yeah, this was the first game of the day, and it started off with not only, you know, one of the best performances we've seen, but arguably the best trio in the world winning it. And then coming into the second game, it was the return of one of the GOATs alongside 2 of the best players in the world, Aqua, Vidil, and Reason. Not Reason, sorry, Norani came in and absolutely stomped through. And to see them qualify in second place was insane.
Yeah, we just hear Serenexto's flopper win as well, which pushed them pretty high up the leaderboards. But look, running it back, game number 4. This sound familiar? Yet again, this Aqua clutch went alongside Vidil was so insane. He had 7 eliminations himself. This blew up to 10 total. But look, this has got to be the play of the day.
100%. The highlight moment of the day, the play of the day, the shot
Oh my gosh.
of the day. What a way to close out a game. Clutch in his jeans, ice in his veins. There is nobody on the world like Tayson, and that is a pure fact. You cannot argue that with me whatsoever. But coming into this final game, we all saw how it played out there. Of course, like we said, Pastrocki's team were able to win it out and propel themselves high up in them standings. And it doesn't get them an auto qualification spot, but what it does do is it solidifies them as a threat moving forward. And I think anybody who is competing in the next couple of weeks needs to be aware of this trio.
And you got to think, the teams who just missed out on auto qualification there, which was obviously Vino, Tayson, and Reason, and then who we just watched, Pastrocki, Karma, and Void, they won the last 2 games in there, and they definitely had some of the biggest highlight moments of the day, right? Obviously, Tayson's huge 1v3v3 clutch in game number 5, which was just honestly outstanding. Definitely the peak moment for me, and they've obviously unfortunately just managed to not hit top 3. And then also 15 eliminations and a victory royale, the highest for